One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Well, welcome to day two of the shutdown of the government. Who knows how many days it's going to be. Each day that it goes on, I can continually see that the Democrats are just digging a deeper and deeper hole. And at this point, President Trump seems ready to just go off. So before I get into the video excerpt clip section of the show, I want to show you guys some, I guess we can call it somewhat breaking news. I'm not sure if you've seen this. Breaking in a stunning surge. Ever since President Trump and Howard Lutnick and the guys had the United States of America buy 10% of Intel's company, the investment surged a whopping 50% over just a few weeks. 50% just by saying we're going to acquire a 10% share of Intel. I guess business mogul Donald Trump does know his stuff after all. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I'm just going to say, if you saw the breadcrumbs, if you saw where the puck was going, some of you probably got in on Intel as soon as that was announced. It was about, a couple weeks ago. So if you jumped in on Intel when that happened, congratulations. If you didn't jump in on Intel when that happened, keep watching the breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs that he announces, sometimes it's on CNBC or Fox Business. You have to listen if that's something you want. If you want to enjoy prosperity, that's the kind of stuff you need to listen to. In addition to that, where is this one? U.S. businesses signed record 98 contracts worth $170 billion with foreign government buyers. Let that sink in, because you probably didn't hear about it. The liberal media is not going to talk about it. All they're going to do is keep lamenting about the shutdown and how the poor peoples ain't got nothing. They're going to lose their health insurance, when they're really talking about the newcomers. And they're not, as I've been telling you over the last couple days, they're not showing you what is going to be for the benefit of most Americans who are actually doing something. Not the ones who don't have the ability to do something. And I got to put up a graphic that shows up. We're not talking about the mentally or physically affirmed. Of course, we need to take care of those people. But for everybody else, you're seeing information like this happen, or maybe you're not, because maybe you're not watching the right stuff. And I don't mean just watching the right channel. You're not watching the right metrics. 170 billion. And then, of course, we get the people who say, nothing's happening. Nothing at all is happening. I don't know what could be happening. I'm not making anything. That's because you're paying attention and eating bonbons. Not your fault. Not your fault whatsoever. People have been conditioned not to look that way. Now, I'm going to show you something that may definitely affect you. You guys know when you go for a mortgage or a credit card or to buy a new car and they check your credit and this thing called a FICO score comes up, and that FICO score, they just look at the number, they don't really care what you got. Oh, looks like we're going to be able to offer you this payment because your score sucks. Or conversely, oh, we're going to be able to offer you some good rates because your score is great. Well, Bill Pulte, the same guy who was talking about Lisa Cook and how she was fraudulent and Letitia James is fraudulent and some of these things, has now come out and talked to people about the FICO score. And let me just show you what he said here. Let me put it out. There's a number of here in a row. Okay, so at first he said, we will be releasing a statement on FICO later this morning. So I'm just going to ask you, how many of you saw this? How many of you looked at that and went, FICO? What could you be releasing on FICO? Or did you even see it? Did you even hear it? You know, one of the things when people say nothing is happening good for me, you got to actually do the research. So I'm following Bill Pulte, and I see this, and I see that Bill Pulte says, you know what? I'm going to have something important to say about FICO this morning, FICO. And being the investor that I am, it's like, talk to me about FICO. I'd love to hear it. Those of you who may be looking to make a home purchase or a car purchase or a credit card, your ears should have just perked up. FICO? What the hell's going on with FICO? Well, his next tweet was right here. Again, you may not have seen it. And there's two in a row here. There's one from 4 hours. I recently had a productive conversation with FICO CEO Will Lansing. Did you know there was a FICO CEO? And his representatives. I genuinely appreciate FICO taking constructive criticism, which was given in the spirit of of ensuring a competitive and safe and sound market to the then generate creative solutions to help the American consumer. Let me stop there for a second. We're in 2025. And I said in a couple of my videos, a couple of months ago, one of the things you can tell that the Democrats and Republicans have no friggin' clue what's going on and what really will help the American people is you never, ever, ever hear them talk about the credit bureaus. They're going to go after this company and this company, and and the company that could most help people get out of holes is the credit bureaus. Hey, this thing sits on your record for 7 or 10 years, and then they sell it to somebody at a discount, and now this person refiles, and it just seems like a never-ending loop of you being in debt. It's like, hey, man, that was from like 1980. What in the hell are you talking about? That was 30 years ago. How am I still getting called on it? I thought the law was it could only go for 7 years. And then, of course, you know about medical debt. At least at one point, medical debt was wiped, and they said you can't use adverse medical debt against somebody. But other than that, you never hear anybody talk about FICO and the credit bureaus, except for President Trump. And he goes, while their decision is a first step, it is appreciated. I encourage the credit bureaus to also take similar creative and constructive actions to make our market safer, stronger, and more competitive. To that end, Vantage Score, if you don't know what Vantage Score is, again, that puts you at a disadvantage. If you don't even know what a Vantage Score is, I implore you, I compel you to go look up what a Vantage Score is. Should also look at ensuring they are competitive in every way, including but not limited to cost. Thank you to all who are attempting to make the market more competitive, safer, and sounder for the benefit of the American people. So as you're seeing this stuff, hopefully right now, I can't see the chat, hopefully you guys are going, what? FICO? I didn't know that they were working on FICO. So he said this after that. With regard to FICO, Carl Quintola and Michael Santoni should recognize that increased competition makes the market safer, sounder, and more cost-effective, especially after the last 4 years of crazy inflation. You didn't hear Biden, Kamala, any of them even talk about your FICO or the credit bureaus. You just languished and just had to deal with whatever rate that somebody gave you, but there was never any governmental help with changing the way credit bureaus operate. I know a lot about this is because I've been in real estate for quite some time, and I've seen people try to buy houses, and everyone go, oh, they're too expensive. Well, they're only too expensive because you can't get the right rate. You can't get the right rate because your credit score's screwed up. And oftentimes, I've done deals where I looked at it and people like, I couldn't get it. Why? What's your score? Ooh, yeah, that's bad. How did it get that bad? I don't know. And if you don't know, somebody's assigning you a number. Somebody has placed a number like a scarlet letter on your forehead, that when you walk into some place to acquire something, it now says, here's Fred's score. Oh, hey, Fred, I don't know if it's going to work for you. So you go home, you're like, it's too expensive. And it's too expensive because of that score. You can buy, when people say housing's too expensive or rent's too expensive or all these different things, when you go in to apply for that loan, for that rental, and they run your credit, you might be the nicest couple ever. You may come in smiling, dressed well, and they look down at that 3-digit number and go, I can't help you. What do you mean? I got a good job. My wife's got a decent job. We got kids. We'll take care of things. I'm sorry. The computer says you suck. And then you go back and you get on Twitter and Facebook and say, it's too expensive. They quoted you a 9% rate. It's not too expensive. You're not understanding all the different things that go into this kind of a transaction. And so this right now is so important. I hope you guys are finding this to have some value, because then he put this out. FICO to directly license credit scores to mortgage resellers. Wait a second. What do you mean you're going to license credit scores to mortgage resellers? Because if not everybody is seeing your package, you're at a disadvantage. I hope I'm not talking over people's heads here in terms of you guys understanding. And so I want to show you a little bit of this video that was on CNBC after all this was announced.
FICO shares rallying today. The company says it will license its credit scores directly to mortgage resellers, effectively bypassing credit bureaus. Federal Housing Director Bill Pulte tweeting that, quote, increased competition makes the market safer, sounder, and more cost-effective. Joining us this morning exclusively is FICO CEO Will Lansing. Will, welcome back. Good to have you again.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the motivation for the move? We can kind of guess.
And your guess would be accurate. I think the director of the FHFA has been on a mission to increase competition and to find a way to keep costs down for the industry. And that's really what we've succeeded in doing. And took a little bit of innovation and creativity, but I think we have responded to the call. And so I think there'll be a lot of happiness around the idea that the score prices are flat to down for next year. And we have competing channels of distribution.
Right. I do want to get you on the trajectory of scores overall. But absent the director's criticism, would this ever have happened? I mean, was this in a drawer somewhere that this was eventually where we would end up one day going direct?
It was always a possibility. It was absolutely always a possibility. But I would say that the director was a catalyst.
Really interesting stuff. And of course, this is the discussion about sort of lowering the cost. Obviously, a big boon for you, a miss for some of the middlemen, as they've been described, for the Equifax, the TransUnion, Experience of the world. For consumers, though, what are the savings here?
Well, I think in the end, all these costs wind up trickling down to consumers. So if we can contain the costs through the system, the consumers ultimately benefit. I mean, FICO scores will cost less in many cases, or they'll be flat versus last year. And so that's going to benefit consumers for sure.
Is it material to earnings for FICO itself?
We're in a quiet period, so I can't speak to, next year's numbers, guidance, forecast, but I would tell you that this is good for FICO, yes.
Right. As for overall scores, you mentioned coming down a touch over prior years. We talk a lot about lower cohorts in the consumer, signs of weakness, subprime auto delinquencies. Can you sort of characterize where you think we are in overall sort of credit conditions?
Well, I think consumers are extended, and we're not seeing big problems yet. But the economic cycle is a thing, and we do wind up working our way through it. I don't know if the reckoning comes sooner or later. I can't really predict the timing, but I would say that the pressure is building.
I mean, the general take among the optimists, economic optimists, is that household balance sheets, certainly relative to the government and the public sector, are pretty good. Unemployment 4.3, but it's still, much lower than we were coming out of COVID. I guess I'm wondering what of the things that could potentially crack, if it's wage growth, job creation, their spending habits, which would you worry about breaking first?
Wow, I can't really say. We're a lagging indicator, and so what we see those things happen, and then what happens to the FICO scores are it follow that as opposed to.
So when he says they're a lagging indicator, what he means there is people on the front end that end up having good scores, or people who may be tight right now. When the market goes up, things change, which affects your FICO score. Or if the market goes bad, things change and can affect your FICO score. So the biggest part of this is that now it's competitive. And how about this? Did you know that you could pull your own FICO score? And I would advise getting a 3 bureau credit score. You get it for free once a year. So right now, if you haven't pulled your own credit in the last 12 months, you can go on to Experian or TransUnion and go on there and say, listen, I'd like a free score for you so that I can see what it is other people know about me. And there's a number of different scores, like he said, Vantage, and there's FICO 8. There's all these different scores. And I'm looking in the chat, and some people are like, I don't know what it means. Well, now is your time to do it. And the reason I even wanted to bring this up right now is that many of you may not be looking to make that purchase yet. You're not looking to buy that house. You're not looking to get another rental. You're not looking to apply for a credit card or a home equity loan today. But that's good. It means now, as a part of your preparedness, just like with a hurricane or anything else, if you're saying to yourself, you know what? I think around April or May, I'd like to pull the trigger on a new car, a new house, get a bigger rental. Well, now you would want to pull your score to see what work you need to do. Because oftentimes, if you haven't looked at your score, there's all kinds of information on there. You're like, who the hell is that? Who the hell is John H. Smith Associates that says I owe them $1,500? If you don't know what's on your score, you can't prepare for what you're going to be doing in April. And I understand that this is probably some stuff that's way over a lot of people's heads, and I'm not saying that to insult anybody, because people don't get this information. You know, the first thing I look at every single morning when I wake up, the first thing I go to is I look at the futures markets. And then I look at what's going on in CNBC. And then I look at what's going on in the stock market. Because that news is often more important than the other crap you're going to see on the other channels. These are the things that actually impact your life, excuse me, on a daily basis, even if you don't know it. And if you can see again where that puck is going, you're able to understand, wow, so they're on strike, or rather than the government's closed, what's going to happen with the closure of the government? What's the puck trajectory look like? And so when you pull up like something like CNBC, and one of the things that you probably would be shocked to know, because it seems like so much doom and gloom on television. Let me bring this up and just show you this real quick. Those of us who check the financial markets and watch it closely, you might be surprised to see that. You might be surprised that it's, look at the under subtitle, the S&P 500 seesaws after hitting fresh record as the U.S. government shutdown continues. A record. Wait a minute, I thought we were shutting down and everyone was going bad and things were going broke, and the stock market's been through the roof. It's been breaking records since it shut down. What does that tell you? And so now the entire picture that I'm trying to tell you is be ready. Be ready as if a hurricane is coming and it's off the shore. You know, like when we had Imelda last week and we were wondering, okay, it's typical every time we hear that something's coming. Honey, we got water? Yes. We got gas? Yes. You got some canned food? Yes. We're good. If you're looking to make some financial moves in the next couple months, start preparing. Don't get caught with your pants down. That's all I'm trying to say when I talk a lot about this stuff financially, is just to let you know you have the opportunity. You have what's there in front of you, and sometimes our own self-limiting beliefs stop us from becoming better in terms of understanding our finances. And so when I saw this by Bill Pulte today, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, why is nobody talking about this? Why is nobody asking or showing their communities, hey, are you looking at what's getting ready to happen with FICO? That they're going to go direct so you don't have to, go through a mortgage company and go. This is amazing for you. And if you don't think it's amazing, if you think it's a waste of time to know this, that's fine. I'm sure there's people in here who would love to know this information so they can go where the puck is headed. And to those people, I just want to say, strap on the skates. Things are going much better for us. All right, so let me take a break here real quick and talk to you about Chapter. Chapter is who I go through for my post-65 medical care, since we've been talking about medical care. And as I'm sure you're well aware, it's the annual enrollment for Medicare. And as a newly minted 65-year-old myself, that means I'm getting buried under the same spam calls and junk mail that you are. And it's a nightmare. You just have to keep hitting delete. I've also learned that Medicare plans change every single year, and apparently some even disappear. So for those of us that love our plans today, it might not be the best one for you for 2026. And if you don't double check, like you should be checking your FICO score, you could lose coverage for doctors or prescriptions that you count on. To make matters worse, most Medicare agents are just pushing the plans that pay them the biggest commissions. They don't care about you. That's why I recommend Chapter for the Fanfare community. They check every single plan in America to make sure you get the best deal, and on average, they can save people $1,100 a year. And if you're not someone who is really pushing to save money, but you'd like a Cadillac plan, even at 65 plus, they can help you get that as well. They made it dead simple for me. They'll review all your options in about under 20 minutes, a free 20-minute phone call. And if you're already on the right plan, you're done. If not, they'll help you switch. So get some peace of mind during this enrollment period that's going on right now. Call Chapter at 475-328-3545 and make sure that you're set heading into 2026. All right, let's take a few comments here and see what you guys had to say about the FICO before we get into day 2 of this shutdown. Let's see here. I don't even have a credit score. I don't use credit, and I can't get anything because I have no credit score. You might be surprised. If you've never got your annual credit score, you're going to be surprised when you run it. It's free. I can't stress that enough. You can go to Equifax. You can go to TransUnion. You can go to Experian and say, I'd like my free annual credit report. In fact, I'd go to all 3 and then get the number. It's absolutely free. I don't know why you wouldn't get it. Banks love your debt. Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just remember, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not going to get too far into it, but there's another thing called leverage. And leverage is something that people with money know how to use, that people without money don't know how to use. There's a reason why you've heard the saying, banks don't want to deal with you until you don't need the money. Well, that's not exactly true. Banks don't want to deal with you until they know you're a good risk and you can make them money. And then once you're at that position, it doesn't mean you're a gazillionaire. It's like, hey, listen, I'd like to buy this house. What's my rate going to be? Well, I can see from your history and who you are and where you work and what you've done before, I can offer you this rate. So leverage allows you to springboard. You ever see a diving board in a pool or in the Olympics, and it goes like that, and they go boink, boink? That's leverage. You can't get that high, even on a trampoline. No, you jump on a trampoline, and it pushes you up. That's called leverage. And that leverage is what a lot of us learned isn't necessarily a bad thing. People have to learn that. I just got a free credit report and had to pay them to get my score. Not if you go, there's a special place where you have to say, I want free annual credit report. You get it that. Yes, you have a credit score even if you've never borrowed, and everyone with a Social Security number has one. See, a lot of people don't realize, hey, I don't use credit. I don't have a score. Yeah, you do. Oh yeah, it's on your forehead. It's right there. Let's see here. I call chapter. Wow, very cool. I call chapter. They told me I already had the best coverage. See, if they were commissioned salespeople, then they wouldn't be giving you that kind of information. Hey man, you got it better than we can offer. We're not going to mess with you. All right, so let me move on so we're not here all day. But I just wanted you to understand that FICO. You guys can chat about it. And I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm to do something for free. But you should know what your credit looks like. Especially if you got a plan a couple ahead. You're going to be looking at a purchase, a car. How about this? Some of you guys may not know this. Do you know that some employers run your credit? So some people saying, I don't need credit, I don't need a credit score. Maybe that's the reason why some people can't get hired. They will run your credit score to see what kind of credit risk you are. Imagine this. Imagine you apply for a job at a bank and your credit score is 250. It would never be that low, but your credit score, I don't know if I want this person handling cash. They have shown a propensity not to understand what to do with money. And so many employers are now running credit associated with a job application. Think I'm lying? You better read the bottom before you sign it, where it says, you hereby authorize me to run your sorry ass credit and see what you're really like. So I can check your landlord history. So I can check, oh yeah, it's all there on the bottom of an application. Go ask your HR manager. Hey, did you run my credit when we got hired? Yeah. We did this thing called a soft pull. See, if I'm saying something right now and you're like, what in the hell is he talking about? What is a soft pull? See, these are the things they don't talk to people about. What is a soft pull? What is a hard pull? what shows up on your credit, because sometimes when you apply too much, those inquiries can also ding your credit. I'm going to stop there before I get too far into the financial stuff and people start freaking out. But one day we can have, we can go. We can definitely go if you guys want to go. All right, so let me jump ahead at this point to talking about what President Trump announced on True Social. President Trump, it's coming. I have a meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame. So right there, he's trolling. Forget the fact that he mentioned I'm having a meeting with Russ. He didn't have to put Project 2025 in there. He wanted to just zing them a little bit more. And what we're going to do at this meeting is determine which of the many Democrat agencies. All right. President Trump, why are you going to hit him like that, bro? It was early in the morning. He posted this at 7:59. Wait a minute, I got the wrong window up so you guys can't see it. Hold on. Let me fix this. All right, here we go. Yeah, he posted this at 7:59. So right early off the bat, I'm going to go talk to Russ, the guy who did Project 2025. And they were going to go after which of the Democrat agencies. And people are probably screaming like, I didn't know there were Democrat or Republican agencies, because they're not. That's him just giving them a dig. Here, you want something to cry for? Here, cry on that. Most of which are political scams he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They're not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to, quietly and quickly, make America great again. President DJT. Oh man, heads are exploding. The fact that he said, I'm going to go meet, or Russ is coming to the White House either way, that's got to be problematic for the Democrats. And then, which of these Democrat agencies we're going to just slice? Man, they gave this guy the keys to the kingdom, and they surely messed up. He continued with this one. This one was first, 7:45. The Democrats want to give your health care money to newcomers and open our borders to the criminals of the world, a deadly combination because everybody will come. He's not telling a lie, although the Democrats are. The Democrats have been caught in the lie at this point, and they don't have any way out of it. I want to show you this. This was Caroline Leavitt earlier. The Democrats are for the newcomers and President Trump is for the American citizens. And so the more that message, more of that narrative comes out, and more of the fact that the Democrats are being caught in lies, blatant lies, is making it even more apparent that these people were trying to pull a scam on everybody. Which is probably why they will end up caving. You can't keep this kind of a scam continuing. It's too much. And so President Trump put out this video.
Our country can't handle people that come into our country illegally. And they want to give them full health care benefits.
I've never heard anything like that before. That is so weird.
They want to open the wall again. Can you believe it? I can't even believe it.
What's that? Say that again.
They want to open the wall.
What?
They haven't taken away boys playing in women's sports. They haven't done that. Men playing in women's sports.
What?
It's like they don't change. They lost an election in a landslide, and they don't change.
What is going on?
The government shutdown could mean a federal program that provides food assistance to low-income mothers and children that could run out of money in days. Sources tell CNN White House Budget Chief Russ Vought warned House Republicans yesterday it could happen by next week. The most recent government data shows that nearly 7 million women, infants, and children were eligible.
Did she just say the most recent data? Did she just say the most recent data while showing you a slide that says April 2022? I'm pretty sure she just said the most recent data says 6.8 million women, infants, and children are getting WIC SNAP benefits, the most recent data says. Okay.
Say for WIC benefits, folks are really concerned about, in the long run, can they rely on this program to get their needs met? We know that for babies, WIC provides 100% of their nutritional needs, whether that's supporting their mom with lactation consulting if they're breastfeeding, or providing potentially medical specialty infant formula. So that could be a real crisis.
The Working Families Tax Code included a huge...
All right, so I need you to pay attention to this. Watch what CNN does here. Since they just did some propaganda, now they bring on Mike Johnson, who I'm going to show you the whole thing so you can actually see for yourself what it was said. But watch what they do in typical CNN style that tells you they're losing. They are losing badly. You got to listen closely here.
A big chunk of that bill was the health provisions. Now, why are we saying that they want to restore taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens? Because that's exactly what they did. When they rejected the clean CR that we sent over, the Senate Democrats...
All right, we're listening here to Speaker Johnson. He's trying to frame the shutdown as a Democratic shutdown. He also falsely claimed that Democrats want to give extend health care to illegal immigrants. That is not true. Illegal immigrants...
When did news stations become censors? And when did these so-called censors become liars? So he's trying to frame this as a Democrat. That's not true. And he's trying to say that, they want to put newcomers on the rolls, and that's not true at all. We're CNN. We're telling you the truth. And we got to cut off this stuff, because if I let you listen to this, it's going to poison you. And then you're going to realize the Democrats really screwed up.
Are not eligible for federal health care programs.
There is no reason
you're saying
this government cannot be left open.
75 million Americans who voted for Kamala Harris were all immigrants?
No,
that's not true.
I'm saying I'm listening to Democratic arguments about most policy issues, and I'm looking at Democratic energy, and it mostly has to do with things to do with immigrants, illegal and some legal, and things to do with government bureaucrats. And right now you're putting one of your constituencies out of business.
Can I say one thing, which is that people who are in the country illegally cannot get these subsidies that we're talking about?
Okay, so that's the next narrative. And they're all running with this at this point. People, they can't get it. You mean like you can't get the something if you take the jab? Oh, that's right. People still got it. Oh, that's because they didn't take the boosters. If they take the boosters, then there's no way they can get it. Oh, I'm sorry. You need 2 boosters. And if you take boosters, you need 3 boosters. You need it every 4 or 5 months. They think that they can say something and that you will just accept it and realize it's not true. You can't do it. You can't drive over 55. It's illegal. You can't do that. Nobody can drive over 55 miles an hour. And you can't take the tag off your mattress. It's illegal to take the tag off your mattress. These people think you have never lived a day. Just because the books say you can't do this, the book also says you can't rob, you can't steal, you can't kill people. And this is the most idiotic response I'm seeing today by the Democrats. Oh, it's illegal to do that. It's illegal to do a whole bunch of stuff. There wouldn't be cops if people just said, hey, you can't do that. That's illegal. I can't do it. Okay. Oh, I'm only supposed to be driving 55? F it. Yeah. They don't realize how stupid they sound to the average American, who they're trying to tell you it can't happen because it's illegal.
Yeah. No, they can't.
No, they can't. It's federal law, Scott.
Who do you think pays when they go to the emergency room? It's the Medicaid
Scott,
emergency program.
Going to the emergency room is not getting an Obamacare subsidy.
You guys are conflating. You guys are conflating.
They've lost. They know they've lost. And Scott's telling them, I'm not talking about Obamacare subsidies. I'm talking about newcomers being able to use Medicaid. I didn't say anything about. He wasn't talking about the Obamacare subsidy. These people are nuts.
These
issues. You're conflating these
and
issues.
You're being dishonest with
the
the American
subsidies are a
people about
separate
this,
issue. The
because you know
Medicaid
it's
program cuts
unpopular.
are a different thing.
Right, but I'm talking about
Medicaid
subsidies.
and the Obamacare stuff are two different issues. And I said
Correct.
the subsidies may get negotiated over time, but what Democrats want to do is roll back what the Republican Medicaid reforms were. They want, look, I don't understand why everybody's so mad. For time immemorial, Democrats have argued that it's good. It's good for illegal immigrants to get Medicaid. Every candidate for president in 2020 raised their hand for it. In the big, beautiful bill debate, they argued it was good policy. I can't believe there's an about face in the Democratic Party on it today.
Hold on. I got a question for Karen, but Scott, I will say, people who are in the country illegally also can't get Medicaid.
Sure
That's
they can.
federal law.
This is a national news anchor. She cannot be that naive, which tells me it's intentional. They can't break the law. Hey, Caitlin, yeah, they wouldn't be here if they didn't break a law. Excuse me, what? Yeah, they're not supposed to be here? If they're not here, oh, that's right, they broke the law to be here. And now you're saying, okay, they broke the law to be here, but they're not going to be on Medicaid.
Sure they can.
They can't get Medicaid.
They also
Medicare,
can't register
CHIP,
to vote. They also
Obamacare
can't register to
subsidies.
vote, but we just found one in Maryland who was running the Des Moines school system.
Oh, my God, one!
I mean,
Scott.
I'm telling you.
You can't euphemize your way out of this. You can't now say, oh, well, it's only a couple trillion or hundreds of billions, not the whole thing. They've been caught in a lie, and now at this point, they all have to begin backtracking and seizing on the quantity. Oh, it's just this one. Oh, it's just like 50 billion. That's all. Yeah, it's a little bit. Let me dip my beak here. That's when you know you've got people on the run. That's when you know that each one of you who just want to get out there and hit these people up on X and Facebook and wherever else you go is like, you're lying. We've caught you lying at this point. Oh, these people can't get on Medicaid. This why? Because it's the law. The law that they broke to come here. What about that law? Oh, so you're going to trust that the people who broke the law to get here aren't violating this law. Which laws are they following? Obviously, they're not following the driver's license laws. Which one do you want them to follow? Oh, that's right. They're killing and maiming and doing crazy stuff to American girls. Which of these laws do you think these people are now going to follow? If you're willing to do untoward things to women and children, do you think getting an emergency treatment is far-fetched? This is why this party can't continue to operate. They make no sense, and they only hope that other people don't come to their senses.
You guys say these things can't happen, and then they happen.
Scott, but I'm just saying it's federal law. And
you can run cover. You can run cover for it if you want, but they do get federal tax money. They get federal tax money. Ask Jake; he had it on today.
I'm just saying it's against federal law to do that.
It is.
Good luck.
All right, so let's be honest here. I'm 65. How many federal laws have I broken in my life? Well, I speed on the highway. I'm sorry, I speed on the highway. And yeah, I've remodeled some houses, and back in the day when I was remodeling some of the houses, I didn't exactly follow every single code. Sorry. And I'm probably sure we could probably tack on a whole bunch of other federal things. I think I went fishing on a boat that wasn't supposed to be in that certain water. But who cares? Those are small things. They don't really matter. Like I said, the mattress cover. And yeah, let me just snip that. I don't like the way it looks. As a news anchor, to say that they don't break the law is so ingenuous and so insulting to the average American. The average American who does what they're supposed to do. They go to work every single day. They buy the expensive gas. They do all kinds of different things to make sure they're living good lives. Once in a while, every single one of us screws up. But we know we need to stay on the right path. And you are on a national news network giving people who aren't supposed to be here cover. you might as well just walk up to Americans on the street and go, because that's what you're doing. You're insulting us by saying, oh, they can't get it. And at the same time, you know that they're in here undocumented. You know what they've been doing, but for some reason, you're still carrying this water. That tells me so much. It should tell you so much. You should see from this that, hey, there's something really wrong about the media and really wrong about the Democrat Party. And what is it? It's a few layers deep here. What is it that you need these people so much for that you're willing to prostitute yourselves to make sure that they don't have to go back? You want to protest in the street. You want to leave Americans paying the bills for them. Why? So if you take a step back and look at this, there can only be one reason. And that one reason is you can never win another election without them. The word has gone out, obviously somewhere, is Americans don't want anything to do with Democrats. Well, very few Americans want anything to do with Democrats. So what we have to do is we have to cheat, we have to lie, we have to use the legal system, we have to do anything we can to make sure that people from other countries are the ones who vote for us. That's what this underlying thing is all about. By the way, the Maryland man is now going to be the Uganda man. The Uganda man. You are the Uganda man. His last judge, his last appeal has been, yeah, you're done. Bye. You spent all this money, all this capital on television. You got Congress people flying around to meet the Maryland man, and now he's about to be a memory. Why? Why did they go to that extent? You know, Karen just said, you just found one. You've spent all this time on one person to bring him out and to raise the flag of immigration on this one guy. Why? Because obviously at this point, there's not enough of you who believe you're crap in order for your people to win elections. It's inevitable. It can't happen. And what we're going to find out with Russ Vought, how he starts chopping, we're going to begin seeing that all these people who are basically being paid off, given no-show jobs. You don't have to show up. They don't even go to the office. We'll just keep paying you. Of course you're going to keep voting Democrat. It's really bad. And you got to begin drilling down.
Can I ask you, because
to undocumented immigrants, even though it's against the law for them to get these benefits, I know there's some debate.
It's against the law. All right, so obviously the 3 a.m. memo went out. The newcomers can't get this because it's against the law. There's no way. There's no way they can get this. You're actually asking the press secretary who talks to President Trump every single day. This is the question, and this guy keeps on with it.
A law-free president.
Do you think that illegal aliens should receive Medicaid benefits? Medicaid benefits that go to the most vulnerable people.
I didn't ask about benefits, and that's a debate.
Medicaid benefits that were designed to help low-income families and Americans in our country.
But they can't receive them.
So what the Biden administration did, Gabe, is they allowed tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world
parole and temporary
to come
protected
into our
status.
country, yes, and they paroled them into the system. And you cover immigration, and you know well, it was a complete abuse of our immigration
but my
system.
question
and they
isn't
slapped a Band-Aid.
This guy's arguing with the press secretary. Oh, they can't do it. Oh, dude, you have the opportunity to ask the press secretary a question, and you're trying to conflict with her, trying to tell her she's wrong. Oh, they can't break the law. Then why do you asking a question? Since you already know everything, go write your stupid article, go do your video, do whatever you need to do, because this doesn't make any sense. You already made up your mind. Oh, there's no problem. It's debatable. What's debatable? Now a law is debatable. It's crazy.
on these illegals. They called it temporary protective status, and then they allowed those illegals from all over the world to get free benefits. And you know who would like free benefits?
I understand that point,
Hardworking
Caroline.
Americans who work their butts off every day, who are living paycheck to paycheck because of the Biden-induced inflation crisis. And there were higher wait times at hospitals under the Biden administration. We saw these illegals committing crimes all over our country, and they're getting things for free. That is fundamentally unfair, and this administration
But
is not
for
going
the ER.
Can you give us an estimate on the amount of...
but for the ER, the emergency room, I don't know if she's got the patience of Job, because I would have reached out and just said, they're not supposed to be here. Can you write that? Can you say it? Can you actually... They're not supposed to be here. And so everything after that, and this is one of the problems I have big time with the media, everything after the fact that they're not supposed to be here really doesn't matter. Just think about that for yourself. They are trying to justify this, and this. But the only way you could justify this, and this is if you're okay with them even being here. You're asking a question about whether or not somebody should or shouldn't or can't or that. You shouldn't have to ask that question about that person. That person that you're talking about shouldn't be here. That defeats your entire argument. There's nothing left to discuss. Once you understand that this person has broken the law by being in this country, and I don't care how long, and that's one of the other things you'll hear in the narrative. Well, they've been working for 15 years. They've been doing this. You got to go back to this point right here. Are they supposed to be in this country? And so once you overlook that crime, then the other stuff it just flows. Well, they need this. How about they go get it in their country? Well, their country, just to let you know, is about to be, I don't know what's going on in their country, because this just dropped at 1:30. The White House notifies Congress the United States is now involved in a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels. Is that a, I don't know, euphemistic way to say we're at war with them? I mean, look how that's worded. Is now involved in a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels. Okay. Y'all want to read into that and tell me what you come up with? That is some serious word salad without saying the actual word that's pissing people off. We're in a non-international armed conflict. That means things are going boom and poof. Wow. This is crazy. And if they're saying not, and I think the biggest part of this, if they're saying non-international, that means here. I don't know. I'm not in the military. Some of you guys might be in the military. If Maximus is watching, can you explain what this means? A non-international means on our soil, armed conflict with drug cartels. So that tells me the sleeper cells, the cartels, they have figured out where some of these people are, and they're rooting them out here. Non-international, they're here. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't that get a whole bunch of coverage? Don't know. And then I saw this. DHS law enforcement has made over 900 arrests during Operation Midway Blitz in Illinois. To every criminal newcomer, darkness is no longer your ally. We will find you. And you're seeing armed guys in a non-international conflict. So every time you see J.B. Pritzker and some of these people, and they're like Brandon Johnson, and they're telling you and all this different stuff about don't come here. Who are they protecting? Who are they protecting and saying, don't bring the military here? We already got one. What did they step into when they went into these inner cities? What did they find out? I see it is now hitting. Breaking. United States is officially at war with the cartels. U.S. forces are now officially locked in combat against cartel fighters in the Caribbean. Trump has formally designated the clashes as, quote, armed conflict, signaling more strikes are likely if cartel combatants continue their push from Venezuela. Why is that not the #1 story on every single network right now? That is frightening. Absolutely frightening in terms of when you think about that. Wow. All right, so now, I do have it. It hit Fox News. Let me see if I can download this video for you. It's just, it has hit. It has hit indeed. Let me get this for you. Hold on 1 second. This is just now hit. Hold on.
Breaking moments ago, the Trump administration says it is now engaged in, quote, armed conflict with drug cartels. That's according to a memo to Congress that was obtained by Fox News. Our Peter Ducey has got more on the breaking news live from the White House. Peter, I assume this is in response to the criticisms that have been leveled at the president for taking out those drug boats.
Yes, and John, those criticisms come from Democratic lawmakers who say they are concerned that these cartel members, cartel drug boat captains, are not getting due process before a bomb drops on their head. President Trump and his team do not seem moved one bit by that, and so they drafted this memo making this official to Congress. Part of it says, based upon the cumulative effects of these hostile acts against the citizens and interests of the United States and friendly foreign nations, the president is determined that the United States is in a non-international armed conflict with these designated terrorist organizations. The president directed the Department of War to conduct operations against them pursuant to the law of armed conflict. And the president just talked about this week.
If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence. Because it's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't...
Okay, I'm going to come back to that. I remember telling you guys while we were watching that speech with the generals, while we were watching that speech with him and Pete Hegseth, I said they are dropping some serious comms right here. They are letting people know. And everybody thought that these generals were there for that speech. They must have been there for something else. We don't know what happened off camera. But when he said that, I actually remember what he said. I hope they show the whole thing. He said, and I reminded you, he said, enemies foreign and domestic. And we need to fight the enemy within. And a lot of people didn't even cover it, didn't want to focus on it. And I'm like, did you guys hear what he just said? It was funny. Maximus, a law enforcement officer, said he's being delicate with the language being used. So... it's on, and I don't know what's about to happen here. Let's continue.
Any more boats on the ocean? You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing.
And it's not just Venezuela. The president's team is putting out the word that cartels throughout the Caribbean are now on notice.
We in the UN Security Council just took action yesterday on the gangs that have taken over Haiti, right off Florida.
Wow. I'm writing that down so I know that. So as of right now, it's now hitting the news everywhere, so it should be out there that we are in what amounts to being a armed conflict. So hope you guys are ready for this, because things are about to get a little spicy. Wow, I didn't expect that. That was pretty nuts. All right, so let me continue this meeting at the Sticks that Caroline Levitt had.
Fair, and this administration
but for the ER.
Can you give us an estimate on the amount of federal workers that the Trump administration wants to fire during the government shutdown? Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking thousands?
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands. It's a very good question, and that's something that the Office of Management and Budget and the entire team at the White House here, again, is unfortunately having to work on today. These discussions and these conversations, these meetings would not be happening if the Democrats had voted to keep the government moving.
So much happening. So yes, they're looking to clean house, and thousands, Tens of thousands? I don't know. I keep refreshing on President Trump's Truth Social to see if he's mentioned anything new after talking to Russ Vought. Let me go ahead and do a quick refresh on Russ Vought's page to see if he has posted anything. But man, oh man, oh man, this is, you're going to see the Democrats come running back really quick with all this going on. They can't stay out. They can't possibly continue to fight this. I'm looking on Russ Vought's page. He has not posted anything new. The only thing he has posted is this, which was by Mark Wayne Mullen, actually. And this is something I've been telling you guys about, and what you're going to see in a couple minutes is it just completely defeats the lie that the media is talking about. Here it is. Fact, Biden granted parole and asylum to millions of newcomers, unlocking their legal status and access to health care benefits, including ACA tax credits. As VP said yesterday, this is a sleight of hand play. The One Big Beautiful Bill ensured that they cannot receive taxpayer-funded benefits. Schumer wanted to strike this provision in the funding fight, and here's the stuff he wanted stricken. It's right there. They're not going to be able to get away from this lie that they're telling, and the media is telling. And if you joined me last night, I showed you specifically how Jake Tapper, without even realizing what he was doing, exposed Hakeem Jeffries as a complete hack. Complete hack. Hakeem Jeffries didn't have a clue what was going on. All right, let me take a second before I continue. What do I got here? All right, so I've got, okay. Big Ortho hates it when studies like this one come out. Every year, over 1 million older adults, that's me, ends up in the hospital from falls and injuries. That's not me yet. And for decades, we've been told the solution is simple. Take calcium, take vitamin D. But here's the truth they don't want to talk about. A massive meta-analysis of clinical trials proved that calcium, vitamin D, or even both together did not benefit bone health in older adults. And it gets worse. According to Harvard research, men taking 1,000 milligrams of calcium daily were actually 20% more likely to develop heart problems. Got to watch that calcium. Meanwhile, women are losing up to 7% of their bone density in just the first 5 to 7 years after menopause, which is why when you fall down, you get break something. When we're younger, we fall down, we just get back up. So no wonder the injuries skyrocket. But here's the big part that Big Ortho really hates. There's an overlooked nutrient hiding in plain sight that can help rebuild bone density. If you're a little bit older in age, you probably have had a bone density test. This one different nutrient can help strengthen your joints, and I'm saying this because I feel much better between a couple of different products that I'm taking, and my knees, everything's feeling better. And it even improves digestion, if you know what I mean. And all with just 5 grams a day. Doctors ignored it for decades. Now top health and anti-aging experts are finally sounding the alarm. And yes, the side benefits: stronger, thicker hair, smoother skin, healthier nails. Don't wait for a fall to change your future. Go to getnativepath.com/Barry to discover the truth. And right now, if you go to getnativepath.com/Barry, you get up to 45% off and a special bundle, and no code is needed. That's getnativepath.com/Barry. Spell it out for you. That, GETNATIVEPATH.com/Barry. Check it out. I think you'll find if you're having some, joint problems, this may help as well. And it's all natural. All right, so I see SV has, is it SV or Ashley has sent me something here? Who sent me something? SV. What's this? Oh, I'm going to have to download this because this is, you know what, I'll save that for a different part in the show, SV, because that is pretty good about Portland. Actually, no, I'll play it now because it's important understanding what's going on in these inner cities. And if I can get this to download, it's not downloading as of yet. So I'll come back to it because it doesn't want to play ball with me. And then Ashley sent me something. Let me see what Ashley sent as well. All right. Yeah, Ashley, I'm going to get to that in 1 second as we go forward. All right. So let me continue with this video.
Okay, so it's day 2 of this. I think that it's important just to revisit, even though I know you've done it elsewhere, the claims that Democrats are making here. Watch.
They're lying. They're just outright lying.
That is a bold-faced lie, and it really shows how desperate they are.
This is also an outright lie. There is nothing in anything that we have proposed that is trying to change that law.
They make up lies, absolute lies. They say, oh, what they're fighting to do is prevent, say, illegal immigrants from getting federal health care dollars. That is a damn lie.
I feel like they've walked into a bit of a trap, because your point is that if they were to make these changes, it would allow states to use federal dollars to help give illegal immigrants health care. Go.
Yes, that's exactly right, Dana. In fact, I have the Democrat proposed continuing resolution right here, where you can read in the text a provision that would remove the provision that Republicans passed in President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill to ensure that illegal aliens in our country cannot receive Medicaid and taxpayer-funded health care benefits. That was happening under the Biden administrations, and the Democrats endorsed it, encouraged it, and vocally supported it. Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed millions and millions of illegal aliens into our country. They paroled them into the country. They gave them a Band-Aid called temporary protective status. They completely abused our immigration system. And then those illegal aliens were receiving the taxpayer-funded health care benefits of hardworking American taxpayers. That's why wait times at hospitals went through the roof under the Biden administration. And that's why the Trump administration and President Donald Trump immediately fixed this and changed it into law with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And now Democrats, rather than just passing a clean continuing resolution to keep the government funded, which is what the president and Republicans want, they submitted a continuing resolution that puts this poison pill back into law. That's what they want to do. And it's completely unacceptable. President Trump ran on the promise to end taxpayer-funded benefits going to illegal aliens. And tens of millions of Americans across the country voted him back to this beautiful White House to implement that promise, and he did. And now Democrats want to undo it, and they are holding our country hostage. They are holding the American people hostage for this wildly unpopular proposal to give taxpayer-funded benefits to illegals, and now they're lying about it, and they know it.
On that argument.
So it's so funny because she is so prepared. I was talking to Robin about it this morning. I'm like, remember, she's what, 27 or 28? She's very young. And just think of the press secretaries you've seen over your lifetime in terms of watching presidential press secretaries. She's a bundle of energy. She's not looking at notes. She can just go with the subject. And it gets to the point, even on a friendly network on Fox, she's like, hey, breathe. Give us a chance to get in here. And she brought receipts. And so I don't understand, like Dana Perino said, they boxed themselves into a corner. Did they not think people were going to see the document? It's easy to go on, other networks and lie. It's easy to stand in the halls of Congress and lie, but people actually have the document, and many of you may have seen it by now, and it clearly says what they're trying to do. And so how can you continue to lie to everybody when there's an actual document that people can read, people can see with their own eyes? Doesn't make any sense. None so whatsoever.
90 minutes ago, Jeanne Shaheen, the Democratic senator from your home state of New Hampshire, was here on Fox and said that's all, that argument's a red herring. That was her position when it was put to her.
I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad.
Oh, boy. Did you see how big? Oh, hold on. Look at Loris's eyes. He said, did you just walk into that bear trap? I haven't seen nobody talk about it. No Democrat has ever said anything about wanting to give the people who aren't supposed to be here health insurance. That's never been said. His eyes are like, Oh, no, you just didn't do that. Oh, no, you just didn't say that and step right into that. Did you really just do that? See, I've said here many times, the only way Democrats can exist is by telling people lies, hoping that the people are too stupid to remember what they've done. And the rest of us just kind of look around and go, did they know what they said before? Is there some sort of like, you know, that thing from Men in Black? Every time you guys talk, you go like this to the people who vote for you? Blip! Okay. Oh, it never happened. And Lawrence's eyes were like, oh, you girl, you just don't even know. Let's start that again. Girl.
Benefits to illegals, and now they're lying about it, and they know it.
On that argument, 90 minutes ago, Jeanne Shaheen, the Democratic senator from your home state of New Hampshire, was here on Fox and said that's all, that argument's a red herring. That was her position when it was put to her.
I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad you said that. Actually, I have some tape of your Democratic Party members saying this on the debate stage, so they've all said it. Let's play the clip.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay.
Senator, that's literally every member of your party, from moderate to more progressive, that have said that in the past.
You know, he couldn't have known what she was going to say. Obviously, the producers had it ready, but he couldn't have scripted that. He didn't know what her response was going to be, and that's why his eyes just got really big. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to shred this woman. We are gonna just completely eviscerate her to the point where she may walk back and just, I'll vote for it. I don't have nothing left. I just got completely cornholed on national television. I've never seen, nobody in our party ever says that. How about all of them?
In terms of health care, the reality is they're just not being honest. The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion of the Medicaid cuts or the Affordable Care Act, if at all. And so we can argue that point, but the reality that even the vice president would acknowledge, that anyone who looks at the numbers will acknowledge, is 90 to 95% of the funding we're talking about is talking about funding for American citizens.
I put that in last night's show, and I always rewatch my shows, and I just thought to myself, that came out of his mouth. They went from nobody who's not supposed to be here to now it's like, well, just maybe 10%, which means it's probably 20%. It probably means 30%, just a little bit. Until you realize he's talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Remember, they asked for $1.4 trillion. $1.4 trillion. So if you took, maybe 85, 90%, if you took 10% of $1 trillion, you're talking about $140 billion. I don't know what math school you went to. I don't know how far you went in terms of your math studies, but 140 billion is a hell of a long way from zero. You went from zero to just 140 billion. And if I'm a little bit off, maybe it's 200 billion. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're throwing around people's money like it's no big deal. 140 to 150 billion dollars, huh? just a little bit.
He's also one of 7 Democratic senators listed today in Axios who could defect or crack. Has the White House or leading Republicans heard from any of those 7 that would get you to a number that would be able to end the shutdown?
Well, as the vice president said at the White House press briefing yesterday, he and our legislative affairs shop and the president himself continue to be in very important discussions with these moderate Democrats and also with our allies, Senate Republicans, who have good relationships with these moderates. And they know what the right thing to do is. They just lack the courage to do it. But they need to step up and they need to vote for this clean continuing resolution to keep the government open that they voted for as recently as March, that they voted for 13 times previously in the past. So there is zero excuse for them to shut down our government right now, and they know it. And very soon, the American people and their constituents back home in states from New Hampshire to Nevada to Arizona to Florida are going to start feeling the pinch of this Democrat-led shutdown. We have millions of troops who are currently going without pay. We have women, children, and infants who cannot apply for a very important WIC program for that critical food and life assistance. And you also look at air traffic controllers who are now having to work without pay. These are critical consequences, and it's the Democrats' fault. And they have a chance to reverse course, and they should.
Pump your brakes, gal. Slow down a little bit. Let us get a little in here so we can talk about it. So at this point, they realize, you can tell the energy that's bubbling out from her. They realize they have these people on the ropes. They had them on the ropes before the shutdown. Now they're even further on the ropes. I posted, included a clip last night on last night's show. And in last night's show, J.B. Pritzker was talking about, was trying to make fun of Donald Trump, you know, the deal maker. You know, he supposedly wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. And I'm like, you're making fun of the wrong person. He is exactly that person in that book. Of course, there was probably a ghostwriter associated. I'm not talking about that. But knowing how to do a deal is most important. And at this point, if the Democrats want or thought they wanted any concessions, that ship has long since sailed. There's nothing the Democrats... The only thing... Wait a minute, let me rephrase that. The only thing the Democrats could possibly offer Trump at this point, which they will never do, is to agree to voter ID. Other than that, you don't have anything I want. That's it. So when you're looking to do a deal, which I stressed last night, you have to have something I want. There's no reason for me to sit down and, quote, negotiate with you, because you're not holding anything. Yeah. There's no reason for me to talk to you. And the Democrats have been exposed so badly in this last 48 hours. I don't know what they do other than just tick their tail between their legs and just say, all right, we'll sign it. That's about the only thing they can do. The media, they've become feckless. And out in all these towns where the hoodlums are out doing crazy stuff, now we have a non-international armed conflict thing going on, which is going to further constrict things in these Democrat cities. And you got the communist mayor up in New York promising stuff that he can't do. They're complete disarray. I've never seen a party in such a bad position. There's nothing, and I don't say that lightly. I keep saying it so you guys understand, because maybe you guys can come up with something. There's nothing. The lawfare, not working. They can't vote it. Nothing. So what's the negotiation? If you hold all the cards, if you're the one that basically is dictating everything, how do you negotiate with somebody like that? What do you want? Well, you know, we'd like 1.7 trillion for the next. You want a hat? I got a red MAGA hat for you. No, you don't want that either, huh? Would you like some entertainment? Maybe I could pull up some entertainment for you, because I understand Hakeem really likes this entertainment. How about this? You want some of this? What do you want? You're wasting my time. Are you here to sign this piece of paper or not? Either that, pull something out of that bag that I give a crap about. that may sound cold, but if you or I were negotiating, one of us or both of us need the other. I need this, you need that. Let's come. I don't need anything from you. But how about we add voter ID? Oh, that's off the table? What else you want me to talk about? Who killed Kennedy? I don't know. You have lost. You're a walking dead man. You don't know you're dead just because you're a walking dead man. You are zombies. You are complete zombies who have no idea what to do. So just, as far as I'm concerned, enjoy the concert.
Somebody earlier on our program said that Russell Vogt went ahead.
That lady just, I know some of you like, please make it stop. Well, that's exactly what's going on. And Hakeem Jeffries out there freaking out because they're making sombrero memes about him. Oh, the sombrero memes are awesome. Absolutely awesome. I got to go find me a sombrero. I already got the mustache. I look like a big Mexican. So, whatever. All right, let's let Caroline continue.
And signed off so that every military member does get pay. But are you saying that they're working now without?
Well, we are certainly looking into how we can fix this problem. And look, we have $0 coming into the federal government right now because the Democrats shut it down. So what Russ Vogt is working diligently on is examining how we can fix this mess to ensure that critical funding continues, that we can get people paid. But the Democrats are making that very difficult. And that's why the president put out a statement this morning saying that we're going to start looking across the board at layoffs and at agencies that we feel do not best serve the American taxpayer, that may need to be halted or permanently cut.
So on that, all right. So let me stop there for a second. When you're dealing with somebody who has all the cards and you have none, at this point, it is my idea to begin further conquest. I now know you can't defend me. I mean, think about it in football. I know I could run any play in my playbook and your people can't stop me. So now we'll just start chopping these Democrat agencies. You gonna cry? Cry some more. We don't care. That's where President Trump is. He's having fun. I really, truly believe in my heart of hearts that he's having fun. It's like toying with your food. Yeah, you see Midas and Lily when they're playing with their food and throwing stuff up in the air and stuff. A little chew toy that they think's a real duck or something. That's probably why she freaked out the other day when she saw the ducks. She's so used to just her little ducky. But that's where we are. We're at the point where he's advancing. He's continuing to move forward with power.
I wanted to ask you about that because he mentioned Russ Vogt in that. I think that came out about 8 o'clock this morning about cutting certain programs that they deem are not necessary. Is that real or is that a negotiating tactic?
Oh, it's very real. And the Democrats...
Wait a minute. Okay. I stopped there because Bill's a nice guy. But Bill has to understand, Trump's not bluffing. Is that real or just negotiating? I'm not negotiating. I'm just trying to figure out how far we're going to take it. The negotiations ended a couple days ago. This is day 2. A couple days ago, the negotiations ended. Your watch. You're going to see these votes keep coming up. I guess maybe there's one tomorrow. It's like take it or leave it. In fact, I'm pissed off at John Thune. Don't take the vote. Screw them. At this point, make them beg to take the vote. Make them beg to reopen the government. Tell Chuck Schumer he's got to go on the Senate floor and go, please, Mr. President, we understand at this point that we were wrong and we're willing to take what you offered first time. Make him say it. No, we're not playing. No, ain't nobody playing. We're done playing. Were they playing? Were they playing when they shot him? Were they playing when they arrested him? Were they playing when they tried to take his property for him? And you're wondering, is he negotiating? Negotiations ended. There is no negotiation right now. He told you, I can't believe y'all gave me this fantastic opportunity. How do you tell an adversary, you can do whatever you want? Now I just got to figure out which ones I want to take. I'm the only person sitting at this buffet. Nobody else can come in. It's mine. I told you, they don't realize that when they did that No Kings Festival and everything else, the protest they were doing, they actually crowned a king. They are completely, and I don't mean a little bit, they are completely at his mercy. And I just want you to realize that. Understand it. Accept it. At this point, the only thing they can do is hope. We hope President Trump doesn't slash. We hope. You can't vote. Nothing you can do. Imagine being in that position where there is nothing that you can do to stop him. Can't do anything legally. Nothing. What kind of feeling would that be as a man, even as a woman? What kind of feeling is that to just look at someone in their eyes and go, "I can't stop you. There's nothing I can do. Please have mercy on us. Mercy. Mercy." You tried to tell me my $500 million property on the water in Palm Beach County was worth $18 million. You tried to tell me, I said 500 million rather. You tried to have Fannie Willis and her love child put me in jail. You tried to have Letitia James put me in jail, convict me of 30, 40 felony counts. You tried to have Judge Merchant. I say these things because they're right on the top of my head. I don't need any notes. You shouldn't need any notes. They did this to this man. You put yourselves in this position. So I want you to think about it right now. If that was you, if you were President Trump and somebody shot you, tried to kill you twice, as that we know of, tried to take your property, tried to take your business, put your friends in jail, dragged you in court across the country, took your mugshot, laughed at you, 34 felonies, then had some nut job say you did something to her in a department store and convicted that and wanted another 90 million. And now you're asking me for mercy. What would you do? I know many of us are Christians and we have to bite we have to bite our fingers because we're like, I want to eviscerate you. And Lord tells us to have mercy. But this is politics. And I don't know how they can even sit in front of him. You remember, he's probably got a reel of all the things these people have said about him. Fascist, racist, rapist, homophobe, xenophobe, deplorable, Nazi, fascist. He must have it on loop. And now, after years of spying and doing all this, now you're coming into the Oval Office and you have the bozu ball size cojones to tell me to have mercy on you? What exactly would you do at that point? And that's why I think they're in a really precarious situation, because I don't know what kind of mood he's in. I don't know if he's thinking to the future in terms of where he wants to see things go. But I have never been in any situation personally, physically, business-wise, where the person I'm talking to, I am completely at their mercy. Well, wait a minute. I've been married 32 years. Yeah, I've been in that situation. You guys know what I'm talking about. Please, baby, please, please. But other than that, other than the wife, there's no one I've ever been in front of that says, the entirety of my existence is dependent upon what you say, here, my Lord, in the next 15, 20 minutes, my Lord. That's where they are. And their people don't seem to know it. They keep talking. They should be completely supplicant. Everybody in the media should be going, President Trump's one of the best presidents we've ever seen. He's done a great job. I don't care if you have to take Miralax to get it all out of you. At this point, you're doing the wrong thing. You're antagonizing the very person who holds your entire existence. Let that sink in. All the crap you still can tell. He did this, he did that, he did. And then you're going to come in the Oval Office and ask me for mercy. Cut them all. Cut every job. Cut every agency. Shred them. Do whatever you need to do, Russ. Can you imagine if President Trump did that? But see, he won't. because at the same token, you want to be better than those people, and you want the American people to see you're better than them. See, I could do all this. I'm going to spare you. I'm going to make it that you can never come back here and do it to anybody else, but I'm going to spare you for now. So go ahead, sign that, and then retire. Get out.
Should know that they put the White House and the president in this position. And if they don't want further harm on their constituents back home, then they need to reopen the government. It's very simple. Pass the clean continuing resolution, and all of this goes away. We would not be...
She looked right in the camera and said that. Just say what I just said. You got no choice. It's going to keep getting worse. Sign it. You guys know I love the Godfather movies. What did he say in The Godfather? Hey, how did you get them to do? I told them either their brains or their signature will be on this contract. It's up to them to decide which one they want. And she just gave him the Godfather movie. It's up to you. We're going to inflict a whole lot of pain, or you can make it go all the way. Just sign the damn paper. At some point, they're going to have to come in head bowed. Yes, Mr. President. No, Mr. President. Louder. I can't hear you.
Having these discussions here at the White House today, if not for the Democrats voting to shut the government down. This is an unfortunate consequence, and the president and Russ Vought will be meeting on that later today.
How much do you think this has to do with the personal politics of the upcoming race here in New York for Senator Chuck Schumer, who could be facing a primary from somebody like AOC or maybe somebody else who just wants to challenge the generational divide?
Well, look, I can't speak for Senator Schumer, nor do I want to be tasked with that. But I do believe politics is very much at play here, and I think that's deeply unfortunate. Because if you look at the polling, a recent New York Times poll, for example, 2 in 3 Americans across the country want the government to be open, and that includes New Yorkers in his own state who are now suffering as a result of the shutdown that Senator Schumer is leading.
Okay, last question on this. Do you brief today? And if you do, will the vice president be with you again?
Not today, but I'm very grateful for the vice president's time yesterday, and I know he's continuing to work very hard alongside the president and our entire team to try and get this government back open.
Okay, but are you briefing today?
No briefing today, but I'll see you tomorrow.
I want to move to...
I'm sitting there watching this with Robin this morning. I forget what time it was, 10 o'clock this came on. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll cut this, I'll have it for the show. And then tomorrow's Friday, of course, so it'll be a light day. Did you hear what she just said? No briefing today, but I'll see you tomorrow. Caroline, you're killing me, girl. Oh, what could she possibly be talking about tomorrow? See, that might have, it made my ear, I'm talking to Robin, playing with the dogs, and thinking about what I got to do, what time it is, and I heard that, and I went, whoa, pause. Rewind. She already had a press conference this week. I haven't heard her do 2 press conferences in the same week. And she just said, no, nothing today, but you'll see me tomorrow. Whoa, what's about to happen on Friday? What you've seen me, you watch me cover, you maybe watch other people, and you know she usually does a press conference on Tuesday or Wednesday. And she just said, I'll see you tomorrow. What the heck is coming? See, if I was a Democrat, that would have made me go, what's she talking about? We talked about Willis. What do you mean you're going to be here tomorrow? Which means, what is he going to do today? Again, what is he going to do today that would necessitate a appearance from Caroline Leavitt tomorrow? So what we should do is go back and look at what he just said right here. This was this morning. I am meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. And she just said, yeah, you'll see me tomorrow. Like, she's going to give them something to cry about all weekend. Oh, I can't wait. I'll be looking at it. If she comes out, maybe we'll know something later today if she posts it. All right, let's let her finish.
Different matters here. There's a report in the Wall Street Journal the president's willing to give intelligence to the Ukrainian military to hit deep inside Russia. Has that happened yet?
Well, look, we don't comment on classified intelligence matters. It's just not something we do publicly. It would be irresponsible of me to do that here. However, I know the president has made it very clear that we are going to continue to sell weapons to NATO, so NATO can provide those weapons to Ukraine. The president has extended an incredible amount of time and energy to try and end this war between Russia and Ukraine. He wants to see this war ended. He's made that very clear to both sides of the war, but you need both sides of the war to want it to end as well. And so in the meantime, the president in the United States of America will continue to sell those weapons to NATO.
There's also the waiting game, as President Trump announced the 20-point or 21-point plan for Gaza. The world's waiting for Hamas's response. And President Trump had been very clear that if Hamas doesn't take the deal and doesn't provide what is required, like releasing of the hostages, that Israel could go forward. Hamas has been really taking its sweet time. At what point, when they said end of the week, are we getting to a moment where Hamas is basically going to walk away from this?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's a red line that the president of the United States is going to have to draw, and I'm confident that he will. But the president and his team worked very hard on this 20-point comprehensive, detailed plan that has been applauded all over the world. Literally, everyone in the world supports this plan. Israel has accepted it. Of course, we had Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House doing that this week. We've seen Arab and Muslim countries accepting and applauding the plan. All of our European allies have said that the president and his team are doing the right thing. This is an acceptable plan, and we hope and we expect Hamas should accept this plan so we can move forward with a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East, just like we did in President Trump's first term.
While that's going on, there's just so much happening as I'm reading here. So what I'm going to show you next, well, hold on. Before I get there, let me show you what I just pulled up from, who is this? This is Mark Wayne Mullen talking to, what's his name? Jake Tapper.
And one of the huge costs in that is funding, taxpayer funding for illegal aliens. They're wanting the American people to continue funding insurance for those that should never been in this country to begin with.
Well, so
and I know Chuck Schumer says that that's not.
No. I looked into it. I know what you're talking about. I just want to explain to our viewers. So there is a provision that the Democrats want to get rid of, and part of it is Medicaid reimbursements, emergency Medicaid reimbursements to hospitals, some of which does go to undocumented immigrants using health care there to those hospitals.
I don't know if Jake saw my show last night, but I brought that up and he caught him. Now they've got... Jake Tapper took a second, looked in the camera and go, yeah, it's true. They want to give your money to newcomers. Right now, I wish I had a button that came out and went game, set, match. Whatever happened last night between Hakeem Jeffries and Jake Tapper, there's one thing, these people can lie all they want, but don't lie to the press. And you made Jake Tapper look stupid last night, which isn't a hard thing to do, but you embarrassed him. He was holding the documents. I'm looking at it, Hakeem. It says this. Oh, that's not that. No, it is this. And so now he's talking to Mark Wayne Mullen, and he took an actual stop, turned to the camera, and said, yeah, they're giving your money to people who aren't supposed to be here. Whew. That is a watershed moment for the media.
Some of it is also for people who are in this country legally but are not citizens, people who are refugees or people who have temporary protected status.
Well, actually, it goes further than that, because in the One Big Beautiful Bill, it has a line saying cut and fraud, waste, and abuse, specifically saying that Medicaid and Medicare benefits cannot go to an illegal alien. Underneath this CR that it's going to cost the taxpayers $1.5 trillion to keep government open for 4 weeks, it specifically, by line, X's that part out. So
Right,
it's more than just reimbursement. This is actually allows them to have Medicaid or Medicare inside, if it's state funded or if it's federal funded. So it goes much farther than just reimbursement to hospitals.
Is there any off-ramp here? Are there any Democrats and Republicans talking about a way forward, surely, that their cooler heads can prevail? There can be some sort of a coming together?
Absolutely. There's a lot of Democrats that would love to vote for a clean CR because they voted for it 13 times underneath Biden, and they voted for, as I said, this same CR 4 times already. The problem is they're being held hostage once again by Chuck Schumer.
But if they got rid of the stuff having to do with undocumented...
If they got rid of Chuck Schumer, would they do it? That's pretty much what he's saying. If they got rid... No. Just say that if we got rid of Chuck Schumer just wasn't there, would it be okay? What are you going to get rid of? You see, what Jake Tapper is doing right now, he's not talking to President Trump. He's talking to Mark Wayne Mullen. But he's trying to find, can we find a way for it? No, sign the flipping thing. That's it. Period. There's no, can I get one rib? No. Sign it as is or go away. There's no way you're finagling your way here. I hope that's what Mark says to him.
Immigrants and temporary protected status, etc. And it was just about the Obamacare subsidies. Would you contemplate that?
I don't see where there's a point to negotiate when we're talking about a clean CR. It's not like there's language that we put in there.
Thank you, Mark, for saying that. I hadn't seen this clip. It just came out literally about 20 minutes ago, and I hadn't had a chance to preview it. I'm like, tell him no. and so now it's starting to permeate. No, there is no negotiation. Y'all think it's a negotiation. There's no negotiation. You've taken your best shot, literally, and you failed yet again. So, sorry, that's it. And you better do it before he gets done with this meeting with Russ. Incidentally, it's funny that there's no session for the Senate today. So, y'all better get done before he and Steve Miller and Russ, they all sit together and go, because once they do that, and I want you guys to understand that, if he designates certain cuts as permanent, there's no coming back. I mean, I guess he could roll it back. He's the president, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to eliminate something and then bring it back. So I would say these people have literally 24 hours to get to the table and accept what was there. And if Trump is the negotiator like he appears, he may say, oh, you're here to sign this. This doesn't exist anymore. See, now you got something to negotiate. That deal was yesterday's deal. Now we got to come up with another deal. We're not doing the CR anymore? Oh, no. We got something else we got to talk about. I have all the cards. I have all the power. I've already cut these people. I cut them. And then tomorrow I'm cutting this list. So if you don't want me to cut this list, because these two are already gone. See, that's how you negotiate. That's how you come back to someone at the table and go, oh, that deal was yesterday, man. I've been there. Trump's been there. You know, when you're buying real estate as a commodity, not as some place to live, it can become very ruthless. And so I've had people where I say, I'll give you $300,000 for this house. Here's the contract. Well, let me think about it. When I leave here, that deal is no longer on the table. When I walk out that door and get in my car, that deal is going with me. You don't even realize how strong that is. You want to talk about negotiation? Hey, listen, I'm going to give you this amount of money if you sign it right now. This deal leaves when I leave. And some people have like, I just got to talk to my lawyer. I got to talk to my grandmom. All right. And then they'll call you 2 weeks later. Hey, we'll accept. Accept what? We'll accept your offer. That's not the offer anymore. Well, you said you'd give me $300. That was before. Now it's $250. And when I hang up the phone, guess what? That goes away. Oh yeah, done that a few times because I knew I had the goods. I had that person right where I wanted. And so right now, I would not doubt that President Trump would possibly do that. I'm like, that was the deal yesterday. Now I'm here with Russ and Steven and JD, and we've slashed all this stuff. And here's the deal now. Don't put that past Trump. Don't put it past him where he just says that deal expired. Why would he go back to the deal they already said no to? He's moving. He's still moving forward. They're still stuck. And then you're going to come back and say, can I have that?
This is the same language that Joe Biden's administration approved. So what language is it that we have to adjust? Why is it that they're not okay with saying let's give Congress 7 weeks, keep funding level, keep languages, everything exactly the same for 7 weeks, and give us time to be able to try to finish appropriations, which we're not going to finish appropriations. We have 12 appropriation bills, but the 4 appropriation bills that's already out of committee and ready to be conferenced, those 4 bills alone takes care of 87% of our federal budget, and those could be accomplished. So there's no room. You know, my mama told me a long time ago, you can't negotiate with crazy. At this point, that's where I would consider Chuck Schumer at, because he's so afraid of being primaried by AOC that he's holding the American people and his Democrat Party hostage.
You can't negotiate with crazy. Ooh, well said. You can't negotiate with crazy. You don't want to. I looked over the chat and people like, damn, Barry, you're kind of ruthless. I don't know. I was just taught by somebody. Somebody taught me. I didn't know that's how you negotiate. You've heard the saying, first person who mentions a number loses. How much is that? I don't know. What are you thinking? How much is that? Oh, it's $350. Oh, so you mean 300. Right off the bat, the first person that mentions it, because if you don't, no, never mind. I got to get all into that. But if you don't know what I'm willing to pay, the number you mentioned might be like $100,000 less than I was willing to offer. Now you set the ceiling. If I'm coming in expecting to pay $400, and I say, what are you looking for? Oh, $350. Now I got you, because we're going to end up somewhere about $300. And so I just saved $100,000, or rather made $100,000. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. Just remember that. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. A lot of people don't realize that in real estate. I mean, it's a very simple topic. You ever see something you like or think you're like and say, yeah, that's me. That's exactly how I felt when I first saw the Trump never surrender gold sneakers. Now, I know some of you have seen the high tops I've shown before. They're around here somewhere. But let's be real, high tops aren't for everybody. Sometimes people like regular sneakers. That's why I'm just as pumped about these new ones. They're more casual, more wearable, easier on your feet, and just as bold. Sneakers you can throw on every single day and still make a statement. And trust me, these aren't just shoes. These are conversation starters. The gold shine, the red, white, and blue accents, you're literally wearing your American pride right there for everyone to see. And let me tell you, nothing shuts down a woke lecture faster than walking in with these bad boys on your feet. But here's the thing, they don't just look good, they actually feel good. They're very comfortable, durable, they're lightweight, and these aren't the kind of sneakers you're going to leave in a box in your closet or so just tossed in some old worn out shoes you've been wearing holes in, and get yourself a pair of these bad boys right here. The best part, the message, never surrender. Every time you put these on, it's a reminder, stand strong, don't back down, keep fighting for what you believe in. They also make the perfect gift. We all know someone who'd flip out if they unwrap these, whether they are a diehard Trump supporter, a collector, or just someone tired of wearing the same shoes as the 20 other people in the room. head to themagaoffers.com/Barry15. That's THEMAGA, themagaoffers.com/Barry15. Use that link for up to 15% off your entire order today. And thank you to MAGA Offers for sponsoring that segment. All right, so I have two different things I can show you. One is a little bit longer than the other. Let's go with the long one because it's pertinent. The other one I may save till tonight's show because there's a couple things I want to talk to you about tonight, but I'll let you know about the earlier. So, what just happened there? Did I click the wrong button? No. Okay. So earlier today, I was showing you about Mike Johnson and how CNN cut him off while he was talking. This is the entirety of the actual interview that I want to show you because it's not just an interview, rather. It is a press conference that he and the Republicans came out and talked about where we are with this shutdown. So let's look at this, listen to this. It's not really long. It's about 30 minutes long, but I think it's important because some people here ask some pretty good questions and we can actually listen to what is going on from the Speaker of the House.
Trump's first term.
Well, welcome everybody to day 2 of the Democrat shutdown. Let's make absolutely clear what's happening here. Real pain is being inflicted upon the American people because 44 Democrats in the Senate have voted for the third time to reject the completely nonpartisan, completely clean, very simple 24-page continuing resolution that we passed in the House here 2 weeks ago. Now, why did we do that? For a refresher for everyone. We have been working very hard, this leadership team, to get Congress working again. Congress has not done the appropriations process appropriately for many years now. And so we have forced the muscle memory back. Our appropriators have done a great job in bipartisan fashion, by the way. And they've worked very hard and passed 12 separate appropriations bills through the committee as is supposed to be done. We passed 3 of those off the House floor. The Senate did its work. For the first time in years, the Senate passed 3 appropriations bills off the floor. Those bills don't match up exactly. So the way the system works, everybody remembers from civics, is that when the 2 chambers have bills that don't align perfectly, you put together a conference committee. That's been done. All of that work's been done very deliberately, very carefully, and as good stewards of taxpayer resources. The problem is we ran out of time because the end of the fiscal year is September 30th. So we did the logical, simple, good faith thing. Instead of loading up a continuing resolution to keep the lights on, to keep the government open so this process can continue, instead of loading it up with poison pills or gimmicks or tricks, we sent over a very simple continuing resolution that every single Democrat in the Senate has voted for in the past, just to keep the government open for the people, so that we could get to November 21st, 7 weeks, to allow more time for this process to play out. That is what happened. Now, the Democrats did something they'd never done before. Chuck Schumer has led them all to vote against it. Everybody's been discussing this for the last few days. Why in the world would Chuck Schumer do a 180-degree turn? Because he said passionately, as recently as March of this year, on the same instrument, the same CR, that it would be reckless and irresponsible and dangerous to close down the federal government. Why did Chuck Schumer change his tune? Everybody knows that now. He's trying to avoid a challenge from his left flank in his next Senate re-election campaign. And he wants to avoid the scrutiny that he received for doing the right thing back in March because the far left and the base really went crazy on poor Chuck Schumer. And so he changed his tune. And now they're trying to pretend it's about something completely different. They have made a decision that they would rather give taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens than to keep the doors open for the American people, to keep vital services, veteran services, healthcare and nutrition for women, infants, and children. They would rather not pay the troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents. They would rather stop services of FEMA in the middle of a hurricane season than to do the right thing for partisan political purposes. It is selfish, it is reprehensible, and it is exactly the opposite of what they have all said themselves in their own words very passionately every day until now. We've been playing the greatest hits loop here on a video right outside the Speaker's office for days. You've all seen it. Make them answer for that. Don't ask the Republicans what we should be doing or what we should be negotiating. I don't have anything to negotiate. I sent them in good faith exactly what they had voted for before. We did not put any Republican provisions in that. And we tried to make this very simple, in good faith, so the appropriations process of the people can continue. Now there's been a lot of talk about, they say that we're making this up, this illegal aliens receiving taxpayer benefits. It's a talking point, they said. I want to remind you of a couple of key facts. Everybody can remember, I think, back to 2020. In the presidential debate for all the candidates on the Democrat side, you might remember famously they were asked the question, raise your hand, they said on the stage, if you believe that illegal aliens should receive health care paid for by American taxpayers. Every single one of them raised their hand, to great applause in the audience from the Democrats who were there. Those hands included Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, what did they do? Did they follow through on that promise? Yeah, they absolutely did. Joe Biden used executive orders, and he expanded benefits, health care, to illegal aliens in his 4-year term. That was an outrageous violation of the existing federal law and of the principles of good stewardship. Those resources are not meant for people who break the law and come into our country. They're meant for U.S. citizens. And so they watered down these health programs. It was terribly dangerous. So we got the majority. President Trump has returned to the Oval Office with a mandate of 75 million Americans, this big popular vote win. The House Republicans received our largest popular vote total in the history of this institution. Republicans went immediately to work. And we passed the one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut. And we fulfilled all the promises that we made. One of the key promises that we made, because you all know that the open border was probably the #1 issue in the election cycle, was that we would end that madness. We would cut off resources, hard-earned taxpayer dollars by American citizens, not going to reward people for breaking our law and coming over the border. And we did that. The one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, included a huge provision. A big chunk of that bill was the health provisions. Now, why are we saying that they want to return and restore taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens? Because that's exactly what they did. When they rejected the clean CR that we sent over, the Senate Democrats, Chuck Schumer, filed a counter-proposal. Now, what was in that counter-proposal? You can see it for yourselves. In fact, if you're watching at home, go to my website right now, speaker.gov. Go to the press releases tab and you'll see it. It's listed right there. Just click on it. I'd like you to turn in your hymnals to page 57, okay? Section 2141. It is there in black letter. They filed this. This is not a talking point. This is what they proposed. They wanted to add, instead of the clean CR that keeps the government open for 7 more weeks to allow us to finish the work, they proposed a wild list of partisan priorities. Among them, they want to return $500 million to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to prop up left-leaning and biased media organizations. We're not doing that. The American people don't want us to do that. We don't need the Corporation for Public Broadcasting funded by taxpayers anymore because we're in their age of ubiquitous media. There's, 200 of you guys here? There's so many outlets. We don't need to do that. We're not going to do that. They wanted to cut, in the Democrats' counter-proposal, I want you to read it for yourself, speaker.gov. Go there and check it out. They want to remove the rural hospital fund that Republicans fought so hard to put into the one big beautiful bill. We set $50 billion aside to take care of rural hospitals. Why would Chuck Schumer want to get rid of that? I don't know. A lot of those rural hospitals are in red states. You have to decide for yourself what the motivations are here. But they say they're for health care. Why would they want to do that? The other thing that they put in there is very important. And on page 57 in section 2141, not a Republican talking point, read from the Democrats' document themselves. They said that they want to repeal the health provisions of the one big beautiful bill. Now, why is that so important? Because I want to tell you what those health provisions did. They eliminated all of the taxpayer-funded benefits going to illegals. There was an amendment that was sent over to the Senate to ensure that illegals would not be getting health care paid for by taxpayer dollars. Illegal aliens, okay? 43 of the 47 Senate Democrats voted against that. This is just a few months ago. The bill was signed into law July 4th, and we cut all of that out. And let me tell you what some of those things are. The Democrats' counter-proposal CR, the dirty CR we call it, as opposed to the clean CR, would result in nearly $200 billion being spent on illegal aliens and other non-citizens. Let me be specific. This is just a few of the reforms that we put in that they want to repeal and reverse. Number one, a provision that closes the California loophole. Now that's a provision that's also been adopted by states like New York and Michigan and Massachusetts. Other states have followed, other blue states. The California loophole allows taxpayer-funded Medicaid for illegal aliens. We eliminated that in the big, beautiful bill. Their repeal, their counteroffer is to repeal and reverse that. That would cost $34 billion of U.S. taxpayer funds. Number two, a provision that prohibits Medicaid from paying more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than it does for American patients who are disabled or elderly or children. We eliminated that in their counterproposal that they have filed that you can read yourself. They want to repeal that. That would cost taxpayers $28 billion. Here's another one, number three. They've counterproposed a provision that ends the Obamacare funding for non-citizens. The cost of that repeal would be $91 billion to all of you. Taxpayers, hardworking American citizens would be funding that. A provision that repeals the Obamacare special rule for immigrants. That cost would be $27 billion for taxpayers. A provision that ends Medicaid funding for those improperly granted asylum and parole under President Biden's open borders. The cost of that would be $6 billion. I think that's actually a low estimate. You know, President Biden intentionally opened the border and Kamala Harris for 4 straight years. By some estimates, 20 million illegal aliens came from every country all around the world. A lot of dangerous people came into the country. And you know what they did? They granted them all asylum. They gave them all this parole status so that they could roll on to taxpayer benefits. We've all been funding that. Republicans said, no, that does not comport with common sense. We're going to do right by Americans and not everybody else. We're not going to incentivize illegal immigration. And that's exactly what Biden and Harris did. It's what President Trump ran on to end, and we did that. It took the president about 2 months, and he closed that border tight. We don't have that problem anymore, but we still got to deal with the tens of millions of people who are here illegally. We're working on that. So the Democrats' so-called reasonable counterproposal would reverse all those common sense reforms I just listed and more. And I don't want you to take our word for it. I don't want you to regard this as some talking point. I want you to go read it for yourselves. Speaker.gov, go to press releases. You'll see it's the first thing listed. Click on the bill and go through it yourself and you'll see it.
All right, so I wanted to interject because this is the one thing the Democrats can't combat. There's no way once he starts, all of us, me, you, start telling people, don't take our word for it. Go read it. And that's why this entire house of cards is crumbling for the Democrats at this point, because there's actual documentation that they can't pull back. They actually published it. And so they're looking foolish by saying, oh no, it's a lie. It's a Republican talking point. And it's your document. And I love the way he said it earlier. You heard him say it. There's no reason to negotiate. See, they're in such a bad position right now. And I think I'm going to show you some things after this that they're starting to realize, oh, we screwed up, didn't we? Yeah. You didn't show up to a gunfight with a knife. You showed up to a gunfight with a spitball shooter. You got nothing.
First of all, this would be $200 billion at least in taxpayer-funded benefits going straight to illegal aliens. Those are the simple facts. They cannot refute it. We have been making the rounds in all the media and every mainstream media outlet that we can get to over the last few days, and no one can challenge the facts that are on the paper. It's right there for everybody to see themselves. We have lots to say about that, and I'll answer some questions, but I want you to hear from the rest of the leadership team. And our majority leader who's been working really hard on all this is Mr. Steve Scalise. Leader?
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as we mark day 2 of Chuck Schumer's shutdown, we know that there is a very straightforward way out of this. And that is for Senate Democrats to join with Senate Republicans and vote for the bill that opens up the government and allows negotiations to continue. Surely by opening up the government again, it doesn't resolve all of our differences, but it allows us to negotiate without Chuck Schumer holding the American people hostage. That's really what's going on here. You know, we had a vote on this House floor 2 weeks ago, and 99% of House Democrats voted to shut the government down. Led by their leader, Hakeem Jeffries, whipped their members to vote to shut the government down. And so they're running around this town right now doing podcasts and trying to be commentators. They're doing everything but being legislators. When they had an opportunity to actually govern, House Democrats voted to shut the government down. And now that the government's shut down, they're trying to blame somebody else for what they did. They voted to do this. They can get bailed out by Senate Democrats. The bill is still sitting over in the Senate. And so rather than trying to figure out who to assign blame to, what they should do is go over to the Senate, talk to their Senate Democrat counterparts and say, Senate Democrats, Chuck Schumer, open up the government again. And then let's have a negotiation over our differences. President Trump, you saw Vice President Vance as well saying, we will negotiate, but not while you're holding hostages of the American people. There are real differences we can negotiate. You know, they want to talk about all the Obamacare increases in premiums that they caused families. Obamacare is the health care law of the land, and it's leading to higher premiums for families. There are a lot of conversations that people can have about how to fix those problems. Throwing hundreds of billions of new taxpayer dollars to things like funding illegal alien health care is not the answer to that problem. And it surely is not the reason for Democrats to be shutting down the government. And yet that's what they're doing. Some of their own leaders have confirmed that's why they're shutting down the government. And it's unacceptable to most American people who just want the government to work for them and deserve that. And we had a vote on the House floor. You can go look at that vote and see that over 99% of Democrats voted to shut the government down. It's a real vote that we held, and that bill is still sitting in the Senate. We stand ready to negotiate on a lot of differences. We are in a conference committee right now on 3 of the appropriations bills, and Tom Cole and his appropriators have passed all 12 of the bills out of committee. John Thune, to his credit, changed course from the old days of Chuck Schumer when Chuck Schumer ran the Senate and didn't bring any of the appropriations bills out of committee. They're now moving those bills in the Senate, and so we can have a broader negotiation on how to properly fund government, how to properly set priorities over funding government, which, by the way, shouldn't be complicated. It's what every family does sitting around their kitchen table. They figure out how to properly budget their households. Businesses do this all the time. A small business, whether it's good times or bad, has to sit down and figure out how to make the budget work. Washington needs to do the same thing. And that means House Democrats and Senate Democrats need to stop holding temper tantrums, stop making $1.5 trillion demands for illegal alien funding, and vote to open up the government, release the hostages, and let's go get back to a negotiation over what the priorities of this country really should be. President Trump has proven he's ready to negotiate again. He brought all the leaders to the White House just a few days ago. He stands ready to resolve this, but the ball's in Chuck Schumer's hands right now. He has chosen to shut down the government, and he can't articulate any real reason except that they want to take things like $50 billion away from rural hospitals to fund health care for illegals. And the Speaker laid it out incredibly clearly. It's not some hypothetical. Chuck Schumer filed an alternative government funding bill, and it includes getting rid of all the verifications on things like making sure illegals can't get those taxpayer-funded benefits. They want illegals to get free health care benefits, and they're willing to shut the government down to do it. That's not where the country is. It's surely not why we should be here right now. But we stand ready to work. We've done our job in the House. It's time for the Senate to do their job and end this madness. Keeping our members tied together, united, focused on what we need to do is our whip. Tom Emmer.
Our men and women in uniform, veterans, air traffic controllers, farmers and ranchers, federal workers and their families, Americans who rely on telehealth and home care services. These are just a few of the victims of the Chuck Schumer Democrat shutdown. All because Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries care more about appeasing the radical members of their party than working in good faith to keep the government open. They are trying valiantly to claim that they are doing it to fight for Americans' health care. But their $1.5 trillion wish list, which slashes funding for rural health care, as you've heard from both the Speaker and the Majority Leader, while giving taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens, tells a much different story. The American people see their political charade for what it is. The good news is Democrats still have time to do the right and reasonable thing. Because Republicans have done our job, there is a clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution ready in the Senate to send to President Trump's desk right now. The question is, how long? How long will Democrats hold the American people hostage to play their political games? I hope they come to their senses soon. Until then, we're going to force them to go on the record about their self-inflicted shutdown every single day, and the consequences will be theirs to own, and only theirs. With that, I'll turn it over to our conference chair, Lisa McClain.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Listen, this is really simple. There is a way to open the government today. Pass the clean Republican CR bill that we already passed. I mean, it's really, really simple. That's it. Just pass it, right? Goodness, Democrats have done this 13 times before, right? The same bill, 13 times before. It's really, really simple. So what's the problem now? Ask yourself, what's the problem now? Democrats want to make their most radical followers happy. They're pandering to the radical Democratic arm of their party. And you know what? They want to spend your money to do that. They want to spend your money on government benefits to illegals. Your money. Where does that $1.5 trillion come from? It comes from your pockets. And you're going to give it to illegals. Nobody wants that, except the Democrats. They're going to spend your money on a climate crusade, and they're going to spend your money on radical media outlets. Gang, this is your money. It comes out of your pockets that you work very, very hard for. And more than $1 trillion they want to spend on their radical Democratic goodies. What's more, they want to make you pay for that, all while gutting historic investments in rural health care, which is really interesting, right? What's their talking point now? Oh, healthcare, right? Then ask them, why would you gut $50 billion if you care so much about healthcare from the rural healthcare? Right? Because they don't have any facts. All they have is talking points, right? And they can't remember what they're talking about. Right? They're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They want to take $50 billion away from rural health care. Gee, I wonder why. And since they didn't get any of those things on a silver platter, they want to throw a fit, a tantrum, and they want to shut the government down. And guess who pays the price for that? Real Americans do. So I ask Democrats, are you okay with this? Are you okay with mothers on WIC unable to get milk for their children? Answer that question, Democrats, because with your no vote, you are voting for mothers on WIC not to be able to feed their children. Are you okay with that? Ask them that when you talk to them, right? And ask the Democrats, are you okay with soldiers wondering how they're going to make ends meet when they aren't getting paid? That's their vote when they vote for the clean CR, when they have a no vote on the clean CR. They are voting, Democrats are voting, to make sure that troops aren't getting paid. Ask them if they're okay with that. And ask them if they're okay with delaying home purchases for families and benefits of veterans. Right? Enough. Enough. Stop the hijacking of our government. Stop the political games. That's why the leadership team behind me put a clean CR on the table. We didn't play any political games. We didn't add a bunch of our wish lists, a bunch of our pet projects to the CR. No, we said enough with the games. Let's put the exact same CR on the table that the Democrats voted for 13 times. And you know what they said? They said no. So if the Democrats really care about the American people, pass the clean CR, stop hijacking the American people, and stop pandering to the progressive, radical arm of their base. Thank you.
right here. Yeah.
Does the president have the constitutional authority, just because of a shutdown, to lay off thousands of federal government workers, or withhold funding for congressionally approved projects that are already in the works?
All right, so in case you couldn't hear the question, now the Democrats, the media, they are questioning whether or not President Trump has the constitutional authority to fire these people. So they're worried. They are very worried.
He does. Okay, this is the way the system works. This is Chuck Schumer's decision is to hand, as I said on a couple interviews yesterday, the keys to the kingdom to the president. All right, he has put himself in that situation, and it's completely unnecessary. The president takes no pleasure in this. The president did not want a shutdown. I'm telling you this from my own testimony. I was in the Oval Office. He pleaded with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to do the right thing. Keep the government open. We'll talk about all these other issues later because that's how the process works. But failing that, because they have decided to vote to shut the government down, they have now effectively turned off the legislative branch, the Article 2 branch the Article 1 branch of our government, and they've turned it over to the executive, okay? So in that situation, when Congress turns off the funding and the funding runs out, it is up to the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, to determine how those resources will be spent. He has that responsibility given to him by the Democrats in the Senate. They can't complain about it, and he doesn't want to do it. But in this scenario, what they have to do is make very difficult decisions. Most of the responsibility falls to Russ Vought. He is the director of the Office of Management and Budget, as you know. Whomever is seated in the chair at OMB during a shutdown has to do the same thing. Russ does this reluctantly. We had a 45-minute telephone conference with him yesterday. He talked to all the House Republicans. He takes no pleasure in this because Russ has to sit down and decide, because he's in charge of that office, which policies, personnel, and which programs are essential and which are not. That is not a fun task, and he is not enjoying that responsibility. And it could end today if the Senate Democrats would come to their senses and do the right thing for the American people. But if they don't, and if they keep the government closed, it's going to get more and more painful because the resources run out and more things have to be reduced and eliminated. Now, when he sits down as the director of OMB, he will obviously have a subjective determination on the priorities. And what do you think he would do? Because what would any OMB director do under any president? They're going to look to see for the administration's priorities first and ensure that those are funded. And so those are some very serious determinations that have to be made. We want to protect hardworking federal workers. And these are people who protect all the rest of us, by the way. We mentioned TSA agents, Border Patrol agents. Our troops, the military, are not being paid, and so they're inflicting hardship on people for no reason. Is it constitutional? Is it lawful? Is it part of our system? Of course it is. It always has been. And the Democrats are the ones who have decided to inflict the pain, not the president. Back row.
You all have shared polling showing the American public is on your side. I'm wondering if those layoffs happen in mass, thousands of federal workers are eventually cut from their jobs and programs. Do you worry you're going to sort of lose the support of the public in that scenario?
No, I mean, look, the reason that we're talking with you so plainly today is to explain to every single American citizen why this is happening. How in the world could they blame the people here who have done our job and sent over a clean CR to keep the lights on? There is no gimmick. People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority to say, oh, we won't do that. Why don't you guys vote for it now? I don't have anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they have decided to shut the government down and hurt people. It is on them 100%. The New York Times poll that was put on the Senate floor yesterday, I think it was, day before, they pointed out to Chuck Schumer, who's from New York, of course, that the New York Times, clearly not a right-leaning organization, publication, has found that 65% of respondents said, please, Democrats, don't shut the government down because you don't get what you want. Many of them remember in New York, of course, what Chuck Schumer and AOC and all the rest. AOC literally said that on the House floor several months back. She said, it's not normal to shut the government down just because you don't get what you want. Well, what changed? What changed? It's on them and not us. Yes, ma'am.
We've learned that the Senate obviously may take up your bill again, but if it fails, we've been told it's possible senators could go home for the weekend. They won't hold any votes until Monday. Do you think the Senate needs to stay?
Of course they do. Of course they do. And the House is coming back next week, hoping that they will be sending us something to work on, that we can get back to work and do the people's business. They're anxious to come back, but the Senate Democrats, 44 of them, all the pressure should be on the 44 Democrats who are dug in to try to pander to the far left corner of their base. That's what this is. How important is it to appeal to the radical left of your base and hurt Americans? Because if they drag this on through the weekend, more and more people will be hurt. I want you to think about, I come from a big military district, okay? Louisiana's 4th Congressional District is home to Barksdale Air Force Base and the command of Global Strike. The Global Strike Command is in my district. In the south part of my district, we have Fort Polk and the Joint Readiness Training Center. I have lots of active duty military and lots of veterans. I want you to think about the young airman or the young soldier who's deployed right now, defending our freedom and all of us in America's interest. And they've left, I think of this one particular family. This gentleman is deployed. He's got a young wife at home and they have 3 small children under the age of 6. She's not going to get a paycheck as long as Chuck Schumer's playing political games up here. They don't have a big, I know this family well, they don't have a large tranche of savings, okay? This is going to be a serious hardship. She won't be able to make the car note. She won't be able to maybe pay for groceries for the kids because Chuck Schumer's up here playing games to pander to the far left of the space. It's outrageous. Real people are getting hurt. Veterans are not getting health care services. We have suicide prevention programs, okay, that will not be funded because of this. This is not a game. FEMA services, if your flood insurance lapsed right now and you need to renew it, you can't do that right now. We have hurricanes off the coast of the United States right now. If you buy a home and flood insurance is required, which is in so many places around the country, you can't close on your home right now because Chuck Schumer and 43 friends in the Democrat friends in the Senate are making a game out of this. It is ridiculous. It is irresponsible and dangerous. We'll come in at any hour, at any day to get the job done, but they won't. Yes.
Senator Chuck Grassley had said there could be $27 billion in AC subsidies fraud. I know congressional Republicans have been looking at this issue of the Obamacare tax subsidies with those estimates. Do you have any concerns about that? And also, Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, and 88 total pro-life organizations have said they are concerned that the Hyde Amendment is being averted with those Obamacare subsidies and that people are getting elective abortions through that program. So are conservatives concerned about this?
Conservatives are very concerned about the subsidies. Not only that, but they're subsidizing not American citizens, they're subsidizing insurance companies with that, which has driven premiums up. It's got lots of problems, okay? I was in the Oval Office with the President, with Leader Thune, Leader Jeffries, and Leader Schumer a few days ago. And Leader Thune rightfully said to Chuck Schumer, that is a red herring in this, and you all know it. That is the subsidies that you're referring to don't expire until December 31st. We're at the end of September. You're trying to take a December policy issue and insert it into this discussion about whether we're going to keep government operating for the people. That is a ploy. They've done that simply so that they can show a fight against Trump and Republicans. Let me tell you what that is all about. There'll be lots of thoughtful discussion, deliberation, and debate about that because there's lots of opinions and it needs major reform. Leader Thune told Leader Schumer very clearly in front of the President, before that's even considered, you have to take on real reforms to address those issues. And they demonstrated right there in front of the President. He saw it for himself. That's not a simple issue. That's going to take weeks to deliberate and discuss and debate. But that's the beauty of the process. We have 3 months to do that. That is not an issue for today. The only issue is whether they're going to vote to keep the government operating for the people. Clear, plain and simple. Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker?
Thanks so much. Democrats want to not only have health insurance for illegals, but some of your Democratic colleagues over in the Senate are also talking about DEI programs that Democrats want to bring back. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, there's all sorts of, remember we sent over a 24-page clean CR. They sent over this thing that you'll have to see on my website to believe it yourself, but it's all chock full of all sorts of crazy things that they want to restore, and DEI has always been one of their big priorities. They want to spend $1.5 trillion new dollars of spending is what they're demanding to keep the lights on around here. It's absurd, and they should know it. They're all wrapped around the axle about these woke progressive programs being ended, but that's what the election was about. That woke progressive stuff is what the American people rejected. Some of our Democrat colleagues here are doubling, tripling down on it. Good luck with that. Good luck with that for the midterm election.
Today, the White House with Mr. Vogt, the president posted on Truth Social this morning that the meeting is to determine which of the Democrat agencies
they recommend to be cut. This is in addition to the money for New York, for the transit funding being cut, and in addition to blue states seeing their energy funding cut. Two questions on this. I mean, do you think this is political targeting? Is that appropriate? And then in addition, HUD had on its agency webpage blaming radical Democrats for this. Is that an appropriate use of taxpayer money being overtly political? It's something we haven't seen before.
I think what the HUD website says is the objective truth that we're telling you right now. There are 44 Democrats in the Senate, and by the way, every Democrat in the House except one who voted to shut the government down. They are the ones that made that decision. The White House and the executive branch take no pleasure in this. But when they are tasked with determining what the priorities are, obviously they're going to follow their principles and priorities and not the other team. That's the results of an election that everybody voted in, the popular election in Electoral College. I am. And that's why I'm pleading with the entire country to call your senators, your Democrat senators, the 44 people who want to shut the government down. You should call them right now and tell them to get here and get to work and open the country up for the people. So many of you asked me this morning about sombreros and memes and why Hakeem Jeffries is all alarmed by that. But look, these are games. These are sideshows. People are getting caught up in battles over social media memes. We've got to keep this is not a game. We've got to keep the government open for the people. I don't know why this is so complicated. And to my friend Hakeem, who I was asked about, man, just ignore it. I mean, Gavin Newsom was trolling me last night. He painted me like a minion. He painted me yellow with big glasses and overalls. And I thought it was hilarious. You don't respond to it. For all my friends, R's and D's, don't respond to it. Get to work, do the people's business, and let's get on with it. Thank y'all so much.
They can't respond because the left can't meme. That's the problem. It causes them all signs of personal grief because they can't take it. They can't take it that they're being made fun of, and it's just too much for them. Too bad. I'm seeing while he was talking, I've got some stuff for you. The left is starting to realize they made a big mistake, but instead of owning that mistake, here they come. Here comes SV sent this to me. Chris Coons out here complaining.
Look, Martha, I see it the same way Congresswoman Dean does, who was just on your show a moment ago. My constituents care about their health care. They care about the big increases to health insurance costs that the Delaware Insurance Commissioner just filed and that the major health insurance companies in Delaware have just published they're going to be charging starting next month. And that's because of changes the Republicans who control Congress made in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. I don't have any constituents calling me about AOC's secret influence on the shutdown. What matters is how do we get out of this shutdown? And I think there's a clear path forward. The committee that I'm on that you didn't mention, but that I value a lot, and so if I could add it, I'd appreciate it, is appropriations. And on the Appropriations Committee, we passed by a big bipartisan margin a new health spending bill and a new defense bill. And the health spending bill rejected Trump's cuts to NIH, cuts to CDC,
why not just deal with that
cuts to medical
Senator?
research.
Why not just pass
and
the CR?
I am urging.
Yeah, and then.
So, Martha, I want a path forward where we reverse some of Trump's cuts to health care and we reverse some of the ways that health insurance costs are going through the roof. And that's what I'm looking for, is a good faith negotiation about how do we do that. Where John is right now, where Senator Thune is right now, is reopen the government and then we'll begin to talk. And what I'm saying, and many other Democratic senators who want us to appropriate, who want us to move forward, are saying is we need to have that clear commitment and plan first before we reopen. I recognize that a shutdown hurts our troops.
See, again, he thinks he's negotiating. I want this first before I do that. All right, well, stay home. I don't care. None of us cares. Stay home. Stay in Delaware. We don't care. You are not in a position to dictate anything.
Our federal law enforcement, folks who work for the federal government all over our country and who are deployed overseas. But it is a bigger harm to the American people to allow Trump's cuts to health care to continue. We need a path forward together to change direction, to reduce prices, and invest more in Americans'
How
health.
many other
and I do
people-
think that's achievable.
How many other...
Martha, the issue that's right in front of us that is causing health insurance rates to go up in Delaware and every other state is the Obamacare or the
Subsidy.
Affordable Care Act subsidies
Right.
that expire at the end of this year.
Correct.
So why do we have to deal with it now? Why can't we wait till December? Why can't we talk? Why can't we reopen the government and then talk? Because insurance companies have to set those rates now. So we need a path for reversing those cuts, for extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which only benefit Americans. And that is something I'm willing
Or
to
people who
negotiate
got
about.
looped in
But I'm
on
not going to vote
temporary
to reopen the
protection
government
status during
until I
COVID.
see a way that we can do that.
He doesn't want to answer that. She's letting him know, or people who got in through the temporary protected status, and he just kept blowing through her. These people are willing to die on the hill of of the people who aren't supposed to be here.
I'm sorry?
I was just adding.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear that part. Now we've got something. This is Elizabeth Warren freaking out.
You know, Republicans say what you're really fighting for is taxpayer dollars for, as they put it, illegal aliens. I know that's not strictly true, but there is a provision.
Excuse me, not strictly true.
It's not true directly, but
flat-out lie. It is a flat-out lie.
The way that they frame
There is
it.
nothing in Medicaid, there is nothing in Medicare that permits one undocumented immigrant to get $1 of assistance.
Senator, if you'd let me finish the question.
She's talking to CBS, normally a welcoming, network for the libs. But again, she's lying to the guy on television. He's already read it, like most of you by now have already read it. How can they keep up this lie when everybody's seen the document?
Of course,
Senator,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the Democratic counteroffer, the proposal for funding, there is a restoration of Medicaid benefits for certain non-citizens that it had been taken away in the big, beautiful bill, as the Republicans put it. Republicans don't think those people should be getting health care on the taxpayer dime. I'm not asking on the merits. Politically, putting that in there exposes you to this talking point, this lie, as you put it. Why put it in there? Why is it worth it?
No, what's happened is that what we're saying is that whenever hospitals give care, what is going to be the level of reimbursement? And the Republicans said it's going to be a low level. The Democrats said we just want to go back to the level it was before because you're going to bankrupt.
She's lying. Or what could possibly be what I told you last night is that they don't know. We don't know who actually created this proposal. Who was the actual people who typed it up and submitted it? Did they tell these people what was in it? Because they look adamant. No, it doesn't say that. Senator, I just read it. I just read it myself. Everybody's reading it. So if you're going to sit there and say it doesn't say that, either you're lying or you really don't know, which is either one is really bad. You're a senator and you're not understanding what's in this document that you proposed.
Hospitals, you're going to put rural hospitals out of business. The Republicans and the Democrats plan, nothing changes the number of undocumented immigrants who still get care if they show up bleeding and unconscious at an emergency room. There is absolutely zero difference. The difference is whether or not hospitals, who under laws that date back to Ronald Reagan, may provide emergency care to anyone who's unconscious, will actually get reimbursed at a very low level that will put the hospital ultimately out of business potentially, or at a higher level. The Republicans, there is no change in the number of undocumented immigrants who get any help under what the Democrats want. Look,
Senator,
what we're looking for is help for people who are going to get pushed out of nursing homes,
Senator,
help for people who are at home and relying on home health aides. That's what this.
and the guy's like, Senator, they've at this point, the media is turning against them. The media is realizing you guys try to scam. Not only did you try to scam the Republicans, you tried to scam the media. You thought nobody would notice. You thought you'd write this in such language that people wouldn't even see it. And now look what's happening. Even on MSNBC, they are now seeing it, and they're starting to become really afraid.
So, Michael, let me bring you to today. President Trump posts on social media he's meeting with Vote today, quote, to determine which of the many Democratic agencies he recommends to be cut and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. Is this what Republicans voted for when they voted unanimously to confirm Russ Vogt at OMB? Is it what voters voted for?
Yeah, well, yes to both. I'm sorry, we have a responsibility as citizens to fully flesh out what a presidential candidate intends to do. Donald Trump told us that he wanted to be a dictator. Donald Trump told us he wanted retribution. Donald Trump lied about not knowing anything about Project 2025, but as he tweets out today, he's fully aware of what it is because it is executing a strategy within his own administration. There was a lot of BS and lying about what this wasn't. You certainly, on the weekend, we started talking about this a year before we got here. And so the reality of it is here we are. And so to the, incredible reporting by McKay, the reality for the country right now is, okay, if this is the idea to create a unitary executive, which is the power center of all of this, to put all the power of the federal bureaucracy in one person, then what happens in the next election? Right? Does this power, if the voters decide that they want a Democrat, now transfer to the next Democratic president? Hell no. That's not what this is about. They're not setting up a unitary executive to shift this power at some point 4 years from now to a Democrat. Are you kidding me? That's not what this is about. This is about locking down the power. So to McKay's point, this moment right now, this shutdown is part of the plan. It works. It may just happen to time out a certain way, but that's always been the end game, to stress test the system to the breaking point where we now at a situation where they will indiscriminately fire thousands, hundreds of thousands of federal employees with no intent of bringing them back, and certainly consolidating that power in Donald Trump. Folks,
So the question I have is, as you're being so eloquent and verbose talking about it now, did none of your people understand what you would be doing? He just verified what Mike Johnson said. The president has become a king. The president only could become a king because your people, decided you wanted to play this game and you handed it to him on a plate. There was no way that President Trump could ascertain these powers. There's no way. The only way was for you guys to actually shut down the government. You played a game of poker. Again, one of my analogies is you went in with a pair of twos. You went all in with a pair of twos. And you're getting your butt spanked now, and you're complaining about Project 2025, and you're complaining about the broad powers, when none of this would have happened if you just signed the document. And so now, complain away. Enjoy yourselves.
The big setup for 2028. Don't be stupid. See what's in front of you, because it's happening, and they expect by the time we get there, you will be immune to any charges that this is fascism, that this is not the American way, this is unconstitutional.
So, McKay, first of all, fascinating.
They're screwed. They are completely screwed. And I think the funniest thing at this point is they're all starting to notice it. It took them 48 hours of looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking at where they were going. How did you not know this would happen? We all knew. We talked about it. You really want to shut down the government? You really want to put this guy in charge without any guidepost? This is what you want to do? Now it's too late. Now they're all freaking out.
Phil Mattingly. So, Phil, you write in this article, you say Vote's vision. Vote's vision is for how to deconstruct Washington's sprawling federal bureaucracy, shaped by his years toiling within it amid Republican circles, is now being enacted. Vote has transformed a role typically focused on the weeds of congressional appropriations into the Trump administration's primary instrument to dismantle piece by piece federal agencies and spending plans. And Trump is meeting with them today.
And utilizing the authority that Russ Vought has deployed over the course of the first 9 months of the administration, but also the degree to which he has become kind of the boogeyman that Democrats point to for his very publicly stated intent coming into this moment. And there's kind of like a wink and a nod to the Project 2025 elements of this, which have really kind of, in a very simplistic manner, been attached directly to Vought. And also the fact that, like, if you're going to be in a hostage situation, nobody's confused as to whether Russ Vought is willing to pull the trigger. Right. Whether Donald Trump directs him to do that or takes his path, I think, as we were discussing earlier, is still kind of an open question. The thing to understand here, and we've all covered Capitol Hill. We've covered Russ when he was a Republican staffer at Heritage Action, where he was helping to drive towards a government shutdown in 2013. OMB deputy director and director in the first term, is the degree to which the entire career path he took informed this moment. Yes, he has a very, very deep understanding of congressional budgets, but he also learned while at OMB the first term just how far he could push his authority, in part because of his lawyer, his general counsel, Mark Paoletta, into areas where the norms of Washington, 50 years...
Okay, listen to what they're saying. They're saying that this guy, Russ Vought, knows all about budgeting, has spent years digging into all the different nuances of every single law, and he was just salivating, waiting for his chance. So why did you give him his chance? I don't get it. What is wrong with these people? If I knew my adversary was sitting back there just waiting for me to screw up so he could put one in me, why would I ever let him get to that point? Now it's amazing to me that you're completely at his mercy. All President Trump has to do is tap him on the shoulder and say, go for it. And there's nothing you can do. So this is so big. This is so monumental. Our country has never been here before in all of the other shutdowns. In all of the other shutdowns, you can go back and look historically, you've never never had somebody who had complete autonomy. There's literally nothing you can do. There is not, they can't pass any laws. They can't call people back to the House. They can't call people back to the Senate. They are completely prone. And now they're worried about it? The only question I have is, why weren't you worried about it a couple days ago? Why now is it finally settling in? Did none of you know? Did you ever watch my show? I was telling people, y'all don't want to do this.
How the power dynamics existed in Washington just didn't really open the door for anybody to consider. On congressional spending, any place there's ambiguity, or he believes there's ambiguity, he has run headlong into to really grab authority that lawmakers just never even considered the administration had access to. And the biggest thing to I think, consider here is the number of elements that are converging that have allowed this to happen, that have opened the door for this. How just stringently do congressional appropriators zealously guard their authority? You know, there's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's appropriators. They're their own kind of elite group of people. How many Republican congressional appropriators have gone to the mattresses to fight what Russ Vought has done?
Yeah, and the Senate confirmed him, including the chairwoman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, Susan Collins. You just saw on your screen there a number of things that Russ Vought has done since in this term, about dismantling federal agencies to refusing to designate emergency funding, really orchestrated by Russ Vought. And then Mike Johnson this morning, he was talking about this meeting with Trump and Russ Vought. He said, Russ has to sit down and decide, because he's in charge of that office, which policies, personnel, and which programs are essential and which are not. That is not a fun task, and he's not enjoying that responsibility.
He's not enjoying. Sure, Jan.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
Well, you know, Phil's
excellent story is just a perfect example of how the most powerful people in Washington are the people who have mastered the bureaucracy, mastered procedure, mastered...
So what you're describing is Trump and Russ and the people on Trump's team are the masters, and you got a whole bunch of novices and idiots on the left. That's what she just said. Strategy, planning, execution, operation, implementation. You're actually out here on the news right now saying you didn't see any of this coming. Right now, if I was on CNN or MSNBC, I would be pissed. Because now you've let these people put all whatever credibility and capital they had to put out there. They've had to, as I said, prostitute themselves for the Democrat Party. Now you all look stupid. Notice how quickly it changed in 48 hours. Now they're telling everybody what's about to happen. They weren't saying this 2 days ago. They were trying to say, hey, it's a Republican shutdown. And now they're realizing, oh, he's got you bent over. There is nothing you can do. Grab the ankles, get ready, and the only thing you can hope for at this point, the only thing is mercy.
Which is why, again, the most powerful people, for say, on Capitol Hill are the ones who have really nailed down the complex Senate rules, for example, because you have to be a navigator of this really Byzantine, complex series of institutions, precedents, rules. And like Phil said, Russ Vought has spent decades learning that and mastering that, which is what makes him such a powerful aide to Donald Trump at this moment.
Yeah, and then speaking...
What? They're just now realizing, oh my God, Russ is in charge here. Oh, oh, this guy's been around for decades. He's been his own Trump sleeper cell. He's just been there. Give me the opportunity. I'm going to show you, President Trump. I am going to lay this out for you so that we can just absolutely annihilate and obliterate the deep state. He's been waiting for this through various presidencies. Man, if I ever had the chance, here's what I would do. And President Trump and probably other presidents, like, we can never get that kind of power. They would never be that stupid. Would they? Would they really be that dumb to do that? I'm telling you, when they shut it down, I told you the other night, I was like, President Trump must be running through the hallways going, it's Christmas. Did they really just do what I think they did? Yeah.
Trump, he said this morning that, he said, I have a meeting today with Russ Vought of Project 2025 fame. Of course, that was the project that Democrats demonized, went after hard in the campaign, saying, look at this, and they tried to campaign very hard on that. And then Donald Trump, when he was running for the second term, said, well, this Project 2025 thing, I don't really know much about it.
Some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. They are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
Project 2025, I've said 100 times, I know nothing about it. I had nothing to do.
And today, meeting of Russ Vought of Project 2025 fame.
Fame. You know, I mean, I think it's another example of voters having to be sober-minded about the choice that was made in November 2020 and the effects of that choice. Elections have consequences. Even if they didn't believe or they chose to believe what President Trump said, the writing was on the wall that Project 2025 was really going to guide and shape this administration, and we're seeing that. The question now is, how will voters respond in the midterms and then moving forward?
Yeah, one thing is clear.
How are the voters going to respond in 2025? Y'all didn't think we knew about it? Oh my goodness. This really is like the Red Wedding with Game of Thrones. You're telling me you guys just walked into this and had no clue what was about to happen. You knew all about this man's history. You knew what Russ Vought was all about. You knew he got... And now you're sitting back and going, well, at this point, this is lost. All we can hope is what people do in 2026 in November, a year from now, over a year from now. You're hoping that's it. That's the hope. In 2026, we're hoping that people realize what happened. That's it. They're done. They're absolutely done. Finito. Call it a day. Hey, Chucky, when you want to crawl in and have Hakeem with you and come slither in and sign the document, hopefully he'll still sign it. Maybe not. Wow. This is crazy. At this time, President Trump has no interest in Project 25. That was a year ago. Some of it's very good. Thank you, Russ. Trump told everyone, every rally, his goals. The biggest thing was, and they don't actually admit that, I want to obliterate the deep state. At that point, when you heard President Trump say, I want to obliterate the deep state, every media person out there should have said, okay, how does he do that? And everything we've seen from all the way back with Doge and Wally the Nigerian and everything else, they systematically got to a point where he could obliterate the deep state. There's no more USAID. There's no more Wally the Nigerian. All of their money is being cut off. They're begging, I need to have NIH. I need to have... No, you don't have anything. He is systematically destroying the deep state, obliterating the deep state, and it's only 9 months in. And they're talking about, well, maybe the midterms. Good luck. Because there's still more coming out. Let me just tell you what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about some other stuff that's surfacing at this point in regards to, the newcomers aren't supposed to be on certain roles. Where I'm going to talk to you about what's going on with Social Security. There's another hornet's nest that is now becoming, people are talking about. And every single thing they keep looking at, they're just uncovering more and more of the theft, the fraud. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Then we're going to talk about what's going on in Portland and with the policing and how things are going crazy there. And then I'm sure we'll have a whole bunch more to talk about once this stuff happens. All right, so let me do Super Chats. Now I've told you that. And then we'll get together tonight. I didn't know this was going to be a 3-hour day. People have asked me, hey, do you think your shows go too long? You think you could do an hour? I'm like, I'm just getting the lather. I'm just starting in an hour. I don't even know how to do an hour show anymore. I would try, but then people would want more. Okay, so let me do this. Ashley's texting me. And I think this is right there. All right. Fakovsky, thank you. Hockey Gramps, love the fan family, but we need to keep the pedal to the metal. I see some in the chat talking red wave in 26. I absolutely, excuse me while I put this away, I absolutely agree with you. You can't get obliteration and have complacency. You can't get obliteration and have complacency. You have to keep pushing. Put it back in athletic terms. Don't let up. You got to keep going till the final whistle. You're absolutely right, Hockey Gramps. Tommy, Hakeem. Oh, I'm starting at the bottom. I'm sorry. I should have scrolled up. All right. Fakovsky, working on some custom furniture. Are you in North Carolina? I'd love to see it. Trudy Saxton, Barry, new studio is awesome. Thank you and your beautiful mods. Thank you very much. Working on it. Got some more stuff coming. Martine Morales, thank you, Barry, for all you're doing to keep us informed and prosperous. You're the best. I know some people get mad at some of this stuff, but I can't. It's in me. Starfleet, FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, was founded as Fair Isaac and Company in 1956 by engineer Bill Fair and mathematician Earl Isaac. Pretty smart people. Fazul, I've been a primary caregiver for 20 years. Mom, 87, multi-stroke surgery. I worked during this, now 67. A prayer for her comfort and my strength to continue. Mom's name is Rosemary. Fazul, praying for your mom, Rosemary. I hope she has comfort and also comfort for you as well. Fazul, Rasvat, the Terminator. Yes. Ray Sugg, I canceled my Netflix account yesterday because they put out that woke stuff to the kids. It's sick. Absolutely sick. Raven Kirkendall, illegal immigration is like someone being invited to your home versus breaking in. And once they enter, are they your family with rights and privileges? Exactly. Doesn't make any sense what these people are talking about. Vishu. I used to work for a state processing emergency Medicaid for the newcomers that came in the ER. The ER doctor only had to check a box to sign a short form saying it was an emergency. Big, big bucks. Illnesses and lots of childbirths. Wow. Tommy Radcliffe, the logic of a child would show and tell. See this piece of paper? DJ's team is closing in with facts from history. I remember. Show them. Redeem Patriots. Pound sand, Dems. You've been debunked and canceled. And now the media is doing it to him. Tommy, now His Majesty DJT will show his mercy in their error in believing he was not merciful. Ruth McCurdy, all who are employed now need to insist that no federal tax be withheld while government is shut down. Good point. Good point. Tommy, what is mercy? Shall I bring the wet stray in from the rain after biting me and then reward him or put him in the laundry room till he calms down? Like that. Tania, Barry was going to say, I can't believe the Dems are putting us Americans through this for newcomers, but what am I saying? This is what they do. Hey, Tommy, again. It's my birthday. Hey, Tommy, happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday. Tilly, thanks for the chat. Have a great day. Thank you, Tilly. Terry Freeman, check out the U.S. debt clock today. It's only going up 1,000 every 12 seconds. So it slowed down. Condition-based, great idea in the credit thing, but the way I do it and have been doing it every 4 months, I check one credit bureau. Definitely check, though. And Pekovsky, thank you. Hockey Gramps, I think this is where I was. Yeah, this is where I was. All right, don't take it for granted. Tommy, again, Hakeem, those state programs. Nope, federal. Cutting Edge, this is good one for the night. Thin Lizzy, the Holy War. I'll have to look that up. KRO, brother, thank you. Bibles for God's children. Thank you very, very much. We're getting them out. We just got another 50 got shipped out today, so thank you. Mr. Mike, Barry, do you think it's strange that the government closed so that Trump could become king when they claim they don't want kings? Well, you know, when you read his statement alone, what he said was very interesting. I mean, he actually said, did they do this on purpose? Because I'm probably sure he's wondering. He's probably thinking to himself, was this Chuck Schumer's way to probably save his butt? I don't know. I mean, I still think he's going to get beat by AOC, so we shall see. All right, so I will see you tonight. You know what's weird? I never thought a nighttime show was going to work. I thought the nighttime show would be too late, and the 8:30 show has been outperforming the day show. So looks like we're going to keep it up. I like it. I have the time from now until 8:30 to put stuff together, spend some time with the wife, talk to the dogs. All right, everybody, talk to you tonight.